in a world crying out for a top 10 show. John Rocha and Matt Knost are here to bring you the top 10. Brought to you by the Schmoes Know. Take it away, boys. Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of the Top 10 Show. This is John Rocha.
I'm Matt Knost. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not bad. You just got back from the doctor.
I did. Some people know who've been listening to me on other podcasts and on Collider. I've had issues with my feet over the last few months because of work injury. When I was at Harry Potter, I stepped on a cobblestone and then tried to brace by stepping on another cobblestone, and I ended up injuring both feet in the
Keystone Cop situation.
Yeah, basically. Of course, classic Rocha, do stupid shit like that, and both metatarsals. And I went to see this real specialist over at Cedars-Sinai, and he said that my issue is unheard of. He said, no one in my entire history of diagnosing people have ever had the same injury on both feet in the same location this kind of way. And he goes, because I thought it was plantar fasciitis. That's what the first doctor diagnosed it. Then they fucked that up and they said it was a metatarsal. And now he's like, don't go around saying what it is. They're saying it's metatarsal because it's not. In my opinion, it's not yet. What I think it is it might be some kind of rheumatoid thing. It's still covered by workman's comp. We'll put you through the process, start the process, and you might have to. You're gonna go see a rheumatoid arthritis, see what he thinks, or a rheumatoid, whatever those people are called, and then if they diagnose, you might have to get some orthotic shoes, which I'm like, all I can think of is like those big clumpy Forrest Gump shoes.
There's so much passion. Like you've been just dishing out.
I'm so angry.
You haven't rambled. You've gotten through like every part of what the doctor just told you. And it could be this, but then we're going to wait for a second. It's like it's all still fresh and raw. That's what I'd be doing. My mind would just be spinning over. Does this mean I'm going to...
Yeah.
I had a foot thing where I looked it up. I got the tendon, the bottom of my foot.
Yeah.
Half golf ball size just popped up. Because I had been down as a 37, 36-year-old man at that point.
Yeah.
In a catcher's stance, helping a buddy with a construction project for like 3 days. And the guy was like, you got something that catchers get in major leagues, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Because nobody sits there. Because I'm not trained to do it.
Yeah.
And there's a chance you're never going to play basketball again.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Oh, man. This sucks. I hate getting older.
Just shoot me.
Anyway, we got a guy staring at us. Not as old.
Well, I was going to say, is this a foot talk podcast?
This is a relaxing, we're having fun talking movies.
Right on.
Yeah. This is a friend of yours, Matt. You've talked him up to me. He hosts a wrestling podcast. Very funny guy.
The Store Horsemen.
Yeah. Say it again.
So our wrestling fans out there, Store Horsemen, check it out.
You said he wanted to come on the show, I'm like, yes, let's have him.
Guy knows movies. We all, whenever we see each other, hey, have you seen this? Have you seen that?
Saturday ritual.
Yeah, it's screeners that I got over Christmas and stuff like that. And plus, he worked from Boom Studios.
Oh, nice.
Comic book shop.
Shout out to Ross. What's up, buddy?
Ross, I hope you're listening. That'd be great.
Worked on the Rich Eisen show.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
There you go.
That was a good show. I used to watch that show.
Yeah.
Love it.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. The guy, look, he's got a little bit of everything we love.
It seems like.
He's got a little bit and he's a guy that I like hanging out with and talking. We talk movies, so we might as well bring him on.
Yeah.
It is the one and only Mr. Chris Burns.
Oh, happy to be here. Happy to be here. The Dark Attack for all you Store Horsemen fans that may listen to this.
Did you give yourself that nickname, or was that bestowed upon you?
Well, there's a wrestler called Seth Rollins. They call him the Architect.
Yes.
And since I created the Store Horseman podcast, and obviously I am a Negro.
Whoa.
It's the Dark Attack.
Hot take, man.
Yeah,
sure.
There it is.
He's a Negro. It's a hot take.
You said sure like you didn't believe I was black.
You just threw this second part in, and because I'm black, basically.
Yeah.
All right.
We state the obvious on the Store Horsemen podcast.
Tell me, what's the origin? Obviously, I know the Four Horsemen. Anybody knows wrestling knows Four Horsemen. What's the origin of the Store Horsemen? What is that?
Because we emanate from the world famous Comedy Store.
Oh,
absolutely.
Right on.
Yeah.
So you're old Hunts.
Yeah, but
right?
It's like the weird thing is when I moved here, I didn't know anybody that liked wrestling.
What?
From San Diego, from anybody else. I knew no other adults that watched wrestling, and they came here, and I know 12, 15 people that are in their 30s, 40s, and maybe a little older, and still like, hey, did you catch blah, blah, blah? And you'd be like, you're fucking kidding me.
Yeah, man.
Well, in fairness, a lot of it got reactivated when Piper started hanging out the store.
Oh, nice.
When Roddy Piper, there was like a solid year and a half that he was just there all the time.
Right.
And so a lot of us got, friendly with him, and he always wanted to talk to business, so that brought a lot of, lapsed fans back into the fold,
Right.
and, it's come full circle now.
Well, and the Schmoes know, they've had Roddy on a couple of
Yeah,
times,
yeah.
and, Ellis and Christian Harloff know him, and we're on this show, this is on
Yeah, we're
under their
aligned
umbrella.
with them.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
it.
So the wrestling contingent is strong here.
Yes.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of because then we do another thing called Schmodown within this, which is movie
Yeah.
trivia.
Yeah, yeah.
But then there's wrestling promos
yeah,
cut for it.
we cut
damn
promos.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So there's a bunch of there are wrestling fans in our midst
Yes.
listening right now. So
Absolutely.
please check out the
I
Store
smell
Horsemen.
them. I can smell them over the internet.
That's coming from the Darkitect too, so that's legit smell.
Yeah, that's
I love
it.
that.
That's it.
I didn't know that was
Dark
one of your
Attack.
superpowers. I'm just going to sign it. Super smell.
It's
That's
very pungent when you enter an arena of a wrestling event. You're like, oh yeah, we're here.
You
We
get
are
that many
here.
dudes in one place, that's going to happen.
Yeah,
guy.
yeah,
Or anything.
yeah.
Yep.
Certain things more
Anywhere.
so.
Anywhere.
Any Magic the Gathering type.
Sure.
You know?
Any nerds get together about anything nerdy, and the smells come. And that's
Anywhere
just
you've
part of
seen
it.
I've seen it online where someone people showing up and putting up signs, be like, listen, we love that you come, but you got to take a shower. And
Yeah.
You got to
Yes.
put deodorant on
Yeah.
before
That-
you come back here.
That became a real issue at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh yes.
Like I
Yeah.
had to go every year with Boom, and it was just you had to ready yourself to live with that, and then you caught what was known as the San Diego flu.
Yes.
where everyone was disgustingly sick afterwards.
The con gunk. What do
Yeah,
they call
yeah,
it?
yeah.
Con-
It was just horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely horrible.
It is terrible. I did when we went to New York Comic Con this past year with Collider. Same thing happened. I was like, I got through it. I'm all right.
Yeah.
2 days later,
Yeah,
out,
no,
out.
no.
That's the thing. Your body defeated.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
17,000,
Yeah.
and it was the 17,001.
Yeah.
It was just like, I can sneak past the guard. You know what I mean? He's tired. He's lazy right
looks a
now.
little tired.
I think, that coffee looks cold. He's been there for a while.
You kind of always know the one guy that got you sick. Too.
Yeah.
Some guy that walks by in a kilt, you're like, oh, I got it now. I know
Yeah.
I do.
Patient zero.
Yeah.
Walking over that kilt,
Exactly.
an unwashed kilt.
I
and
love that
unwashed
first
underwear.
12 hours when you're trying to convince yourself, like, it's not cold.
Nope.
You know what I mean? This isn't coming. Oh,
No.
shit.
I'm swallowing hard. No. I'll get through it.
Right.
I'll get through
Yeah.
it. It's fine.
Not a problem.
My nose just itches. That's all.
It's odd to hear.
We're fine.
This is no. It always runs. What the fuck? How did you come about with creating? What inspired you guys to start this podcast and do whatever you do?
Sort of the memory of Roddy, you know.
Oh,
we
after
would-
he died?
Yeah, we
Okay.
would sit around and talk about it on the patio, parking lot, wherever at the store, and it was
Okay.
doing it with 4 comedians. I myself don't do stand-up, but I
Oh.
used to work at the store as a manager,
Gotcha.
and I throw my own shows, etc. And so the conversations we would have, I feel like a lot of people talk about wrestling, but not in the way in which we talk about it.
Right, the obsessive way about it.
Yeah. And so it was like this someone should be listening to this. Like
Yeah.
this is a lot of waste of good content. So so we went down the basement, started making it happen.
Nice.
The ego. I love the ego. Dude, this is gold.
Dude.
Why are we
So-
just giving this out into the ether, guys?
Well, it was so detailed for a casual conversation. There was like
yeah.
impressions and shit like that. I was like, we could do this for real.
Impressions. Mm-hmm. What's your best impression of any famous
Ooh,
wrestler?
who does the Darkitect do?
Yeah, the Dark Attack.
I do a little Pat Patterson. I do a little
that's the
Dusty
deep-
Rhodes.
Dusty, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, everybody kind of does a Dusty. We grew up with him.
But Dusty's like
Hard
walking.
times.
Everybody
That's how
can
you
do
just
it.
get into it.
That
Yeah.
fit, baby. Oh yeah.
Hard times.
But it's the things we talk about when we do set impressions that are, would make it magical.
So in the flow of the conversation, the
And
impressions
you
come
inhabit
out.
the character well.
Gotcha.
We try our best.
Well, if any of those come out, feel free during this particular episode. As a massive wrestling fan, Matt as well.
Certainly.
Well, from a
It's enjoyable.
certain pocket. From a
Yeah,
certain
right,
pocket.
right,
I know that pocket that I grew up with. Outside of that, like whoever the architect is, I don't know who that is.
Oh, Rollins. You don't know Rollins?
Yeah,
Right.
it's the
plenty of
guys you-
room.
yeah.
Plenty of room, Matt. Come on back.
No, it's just I can't.
One of
can't.
us.
I can't.
One
The
of
problem
us.
is I don't buy into the drama because of the fake theatrics.
Oh,
So
but we do the
that's where-
Schmodown. It's the same thing.
Yeah, but I'm a part of it.
That's
It's
true.
utterly different.
I see.
Well, I mean, see, people hit me. Like Rogan obviously makes fun of us all the time, but it's like the criticism, like, well, it's fake. It's like, yes, I mean,
Of course we know it's fake.
We know that there's not an undead Undertaker that we think
Yeah, right.
wrestles week in and week out. There's no such thing
Still,
as.
though, That was one of the best personas because I believe that
yeah.
the first time I saw it, I was like, I love it. I love everything about it.
Yes.
Paul Bearer is ridiculous outside of being next to Undertaker.
Yeah.
But in the same way, there aren't Jedis. Like we can enjoy Star Wars
Yeah,
films.
it's just different though.
But not
It's not, but it is. Well, because of the conceit when I was a kid it was real, and I had to defend it against people that were like, it's not real. I'm like,
Right.
oh, it is. And then it was just like, of course it's not real. Why do I care this much? Why am I getting so invested and pissed off?
See, and even still, like it itches a little bit when you say the sentence "not real."
Right.
Like I like
It's
to
not real.
say, stop doing that. I like to say that it's a work.
Yeah.
It's predetermined.
I like how he looks at it.
Not fake.
You can
Chris
spin the
is right.
semantics however you want.
These are real athletes
The inevitable
doing real
definition
things.
for me is
Hey, that stuff hurts,
it's fake.
man.
It's not real.
Yeah, but people get really
That's fine.
injured
That's
doing
fine.
it.
That's fine. Guess what? Welcome to adulthood.
Yeah,
So, sometimes people say things that hurt your feelings.
that's
Welcome.
true. And I'm very hurt right now.
Well, you shouldn't be because you've got an ally over here. And
You
I'm
do.
over here. I'm the old guy in the corner.
There we go.
It's not real. It's not real.
We'll
Just
tag team. We'll tag team.
Just
this
give him my
whole time.
lightsaber. It's not real. Give him my lightsaber.
Exactly.
Anyway, so this week we thought we would count down the top 10 origin superhero movies. Am I
Yeah,
saying that right?
For Black
All right.
Panther.
For Black Panther. And
Yes.
we invited a black guy on the show.
Exactly. The
I was
dark
about to say,
detective.
wait a minute. Now I get why I got this invite. Okay, I thought it was out of friendship, my
It
knowledge
was
of
utterly
comic
out of
books.
friendship. It just happened to be that case. Look, you're the one that has a nickname predicated upon half of the fact that you're black.
It is February. You know, I should have known better.
I chose because I knew you like these movies. But that's fine if you want to believe that to be the case.
Let's get it. I'm all ready.
All 10 of them are Black Panther number
Good.
10, Black
Yeah,
Panther number 9.
Let's just note it when affirmative action starts calling
Right,
around. Look, we've had a black guy on
got a
this
black
year.
guy.
I got movies that aren't even superhero. Like, number 8, House Party.
House party.
Oh no, I love you went Shaft. He's
Oh,
a
yeah,
superhero.
yeah, yeah. Come on
to
now.
the people.
Yeah,
Come on
that's
now.
it. That's it. Batman don't have powers either.
He's just a regular dude.
Ah, now you're killing Batman for me?
I mean,
it's
come
not
on.
real.
I think
He's
Shaft
cleaning
might
up
be
the
able to take
neighborhood.
him. I'm just saying.
I fucking love that. I would love it if you slid Shaft in there. I would be so a fan of that.
There's plenty of time to rewrite this list.
All right. So anyway, so we did that. There was a lot to choose from, actually. I was surprised. I thought
There's a ton.
I'd be limited to 8 or 7, but they're actually left off 4 or 5, which I was really surprised by
know.
for
Yeah.
different reasons.
It was kind of hard for me on some of them. It's like, am I really taking this over this?
Yeah.
Right.
Like
right.
doing that back and forth and back and forth.
I just went with what do I enjoy the most watching multiple times and that makes me come back to watch it. That was really important for my list. And also the quality of the movie. Like it's a combo of that, right? And,
Yeah.
And it's my mind what 55 to 45% it is. But in my mind, that's the two factors that have to be in there for the movie.
Yeah, mine were like some that are like kind of unsung.
Okay. Oh.
Because like it just like I always get into this debate with people about the sort of genesis of superhero movies be taken seriously, and
Yes.
everyone's like, "Oh, X-Men, Spider-Man." I'm like, "No, Blade."
Yes.
like that happened well before those movies. No one ever talks about it.
That's right.
And so that was kind of my thought process going into this, because without these, I don't think that a lot of others were. Even though some of these are pretty new, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about it.
Well, like it's like Rosa, like if we're gonna make a Black History, like Rosa Parks, she wasn't the first one to refuse to sit in the back of the bus.
Absolutely.
there was another woman who refused to do it. She just
Sure.
wasn't as famous as Rosa Parks.
Right,
The
yeah.
same thing. There's always like that. There was somebody I think that played in the Major League game before Jackie Robinson did, but Jackie Robinson was the guy they actually signed and did stuff. So it's
Yeah,
always
that could've
there's
been-
always someone else.
My guess is that's like one of those novelty signings. Like there's a I've
Right.
heard a story of like they signed a midget for a day. That was the term in the headline, a little
jeez.
person or whatever
Yeah.
the correct nomenclature is. But they just have a picture of him at bat, and there's like a regular. The catcher is crouched down, and he may be like an inch taller still.
Yeah.
Like they did it to just draw in people. What single A clubs do now?
Yes.
Let's bring a live chicken night.
Yeah.
Everybody tries to show up with a live chicken. It ends up being a cautionary tale.
I say fuck you, Joe Boo.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so Matt, you want to tell me how the show works?
Yeah, when there's a 3-man weave, it goes like this.
Hey-o.
I do my bottom 5, John does his bottom 5, Chris does his bottom 5. I do my next 3, then John does his 3, Chris does his 3. Then we trade one apiece. Once we have revealed our personal top 10 list, we create the shows between the 3 of us.
Boom. Good job. All right, so you start, right?
Yeah, I start. I've reordered this list 4 times now.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And I have the metrics that you guys brought up, but I have other things too, like
Right.
if I'll get into it because it'll reveal why it's placed. Number 10 for me is Wonder Woman.
That is a punt for me. Is that a punt for you?
Punt for me also.
Okay.
Mine's much
All right.
higher,
Much
yeah.
higher than that.
I figured.
I don't know why. I don't know why you hate women, but yes.
Oh, sure. Sure, let's make it about that.
Yeah, it's about race. And
Number 9
feminism.
is Spider-Man Homecoming.
Ooh,
okay.
nice. So you consider that an origin story, even though we've had all these other ones?
Because they're restarting it with him now,
Okay.
so the previous doesn't exist.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So just like, all right, if you're going to be a reboot, because now I have more hope for the franchise right now than I have at, in the Tobey Maguires or
Sure.
anything conceived before, because they actually did something like, there's a lot of fun here. The movie has flaws, but I don't blame
Yeah.
Tom Holland. I don't blame the character of Spider-Man. I just blame some of the choices they made for it. And like some of the action doesn't make sense at times. It's just like, why?
Yeah.
Why, if they have all this future tech, is nobody guarding the ship?
Yeah.
That's we're just going to turn it invisible. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
And it's just like that whole sequence. But at the same time, the amount they got right for like when Spider-Man is running through the field and he's like, oh,
I was
crap.
just about to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I can't do the one thing. And he's just trucking.
Yeah.
It's like, I love it. They are actually having fun, understanding who the characters should be.
Right.
And doing things that are plot development, pushing the story along and stuff like that.
Attention to detail.
Yeah, stay true to the character. The overall outcome is I think it's an enjoyable film, but because it sparks so much hope, I enjoy it even more because of that.
Okay.
It influences my overall and my perception of it and stuff like that.
I think it's a great choice. I think for me, the reason, and immensely, I don't even have it on my
Honorables?
because he's never bitten by the spider in the film.
Yeah.
He's never, he's given the suit, so he doesn't have to build it necessarily.
suit is-
So there's things about it that don't make it feel like an origin film, so that's why I didn't necessarily put it on. But I absolutely respect your reasoning for it, and I think a lot of people listening would be like, damn right it belongs on the list, so, I got no problem with it.
Yeah, and I love the choice of a very young Spider-Man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Finally, because that's
Absolutely.
supposed to be sort of his entire framework is these grown men and this kid who has to shoulder all this responsibility.
Who's still in school and
Right.
like,
Totally.
growing
And
up.
As far as we're concerned, this is his first sort of big adventure. So
Yeah.
in that case, I totally feel you on the origin part of it.
Yeah, I mean, you could give me technically Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Sure.
Yeah. But at the same time, anyway, so that was my
And he's the
number-
best Spider-Man. Like, in my opinion, he's the
For
best
sure.
Spider-Man. Better than Tobey, better than Garfield, in my
Garfield,
opinion.
yeah. I think so.
He's the most perfect Peter Parker we've ever seen. That's my opinion.
Yeah, he's the closest approximation.
Yeah, to what we've seen in the comics.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Still, Garfield's just killed me because every 2 seconds he's taking his mask off.
Yeah.
Like, "Eh."
Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, look at the handsome guy. We mean Spider-Man.
Who are you random? Because look, I'm a real person. Look,
Yeah.
see, I'm
Yeah.
not an actual spider.
It's like Berlanti. Berlanti does it in all the CW shows. Like everybody knows everybody's secret identity. Like within an episode, if you show up for one episode, you will find out who the identity. It's so frustrating.
That's what bugged me about the end of Spider-Man 2.
Oh, yeah.
Raimi's trilogy, when his mask is off and this entire bus of
Yeah.
people are like moving. It's like no one told anybody what this guy looks like. No one. Come on.
really.
Yeah, you couldn't do it today because everybody pull out their phones.
Of course.
Exactly, immediately.
It's a nice thought, but someone wants to make that shit viral and make money.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen the Venom teaser
Yes.
trailer?
Yes.
Yeah, I just saw it.
To 2 minutes and they can't show Venom? What
Yeah.
are we doing?
Just show the
already? Just
symbiote.
out the gate?
Yeah.
Messing up?
Because they do the closed credit fade to
Sure.
Venom, and they want that to be so captivating
Yeah.
that you're just not. It's a teaser.
Yeah.
Here's a little taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love that we have trailers for trailers now.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
You got to
Yeah.
build the hype early.
Let's do it.
And now that Disney owns like 47% of the market share, whatever it is,
Yeah.
they're just going to keep snapping up properties, and we're all
oh,
going to
yeah.
see Disney movies only.
We'll see what happens with that Fox deal. It's crazy. All right, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is Captain America, the First Avenger.
That is a woohoo huge punt. Just say that right now.
I wish we had cameras.
Yeah,
there was a hand motion that went along with the face and the voice.
It was
Just-
a Jake Roberts DDT signaler that you just did.
all right, well, that gave him something to look up because I had no point of reference of who does
Yeah,
that.
what do you call it if you don't have that? He did a whirly,
Yeah, whirly
birdie,
bird pointing upwards and a little
thingy.
eyes went wide.
And then the quick DDT.
Yeah.
So, all right, then what's your number 7?
My number 7 is Thor.
Ooh, you put it on your list.
Interesting. Okay.
Respect. All right, go ahead.
It was
Defend your choice, Matt Knost. Yep.
first off, it's of the early iterations, it has the best action in my opinion.
Okay.
And I think it's interesting because Kenneth Branagh directed it, so you
Yes.
bring in a stage actor, and they pulled just a little bit wider, but the framing is so nice. It has all the kinetic energy of the up close stuff, but you get to see them move around and actually interact a little bit better.
Yeah.
So it was interesting visually. Plus, they brought in more colors to the color palette of Marvel, which at that point it's a lot of blues, a lot of grays, a lot
Yeah.
of like we're hitting you with this. Earth is in a somber place. We're kind of
Right.
that's all we're doing. So when they got out of and go to Asgard, there's all these bright colors. It's vivid with the was it the Rainbow Bridge?
Yeah, the Rainbow
Yeah,
Bridge.
But what do they call it? The Bifrost?
The Bifrost was
Does
come
the
on.
Bifrost, does the actual energy that's teleporting have a name, or is it just the Bifrost?
It's a tunnel. It's called a tunnel. There's something.
Okay.
There's something. I can't remember the actual name of the tunnel, but it is a tunnel that it creates that people like you can fly through. Obviously, when you see in Ragnarok, she knocks them out of it. So
Yeah, right,
It's
right,
not.
right.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
turns
a
into like the
static
jet
thing.
stream in Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
You just get kicked
Exactly.
out and you just fly back. Well, you obviously can't fly back in.
There's a lot of nerds yelling at their
Yeah,
phone or radio
screaming,
right
like-
now. You fucking idiots don't know what it is.
Oh, we got it last week because we couldn't remember the Nazgul.
the Nazgul
Oh,
From
wow.
Lord of the
Return
Rings.
of the King.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we
yeah.
struggled, and he looked it up on his phone, and it's not. How do you not know? Can't know
Sorry.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do the best that I can. So within Thor, I don't know. I liked all the elements of it. Do I think like you saw the origin story kind of coming? Like as soon as I sat down, they had to tell basically it's early Marvel. They're introducing us, the vast majority of people, to Thor. They don't know who Thor is.
Right.
You kind of tell a kind of meat and potatoes origin story. They don't do anything too crazy. It's pretty straightforward. So I get why I wouldn't make some people's list, but I was actually like, wow, they introduced a character that nobody knows. And it's
Yeah.
the earliest, well, actually, Iron Man, nobody really knew either.
But it was following the pattern.
Yeah,
Right.
But it just like while they keep continuing to succeed, I like this one a lot because it's atypical from what they've put out so far.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed it. I like that character a lot.
Yeah, it's a fun film, I would say, and it's one you can go back to, and also teaches you a lesson because you've got a cocky Thor who has the hammer taken away from him like a punishment by his dad.
Right.
Because you've been swinging your dick too long in Asgard. We need you to understand, to get a little humility, and we all go through that at some point in our lives. If we have that kind of spoiled way, and you've got a father who wants to teach you things, you go through that. And so
Yeah.
his inability to use the hammer and have to use other things to survive the situation and the villain really forced him to kind of grow up, which I thought was a nice little element to have in a superhero film.
Yeah,
No, without question. I thought that the first Thor was the most ambitious thing they had done at the time.
Absolutely.
Because it was like, oh, you have to spend time in this unfamiliar Asgard place that people don't know about. Then on Earth, it's got to take place in both settings.
Yeah.
And that's a lot to get done. You know what I mean? For a guy like Branagh who's used to doing Hamlet. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's, and I mean, I was all stressed out through anyway. Thor's my favorite Marvel character.
Oh, wow.
And so, and the whole, I love that era in which that he's two guys, where he's the Doctor Donald
Yes.
Blake,
Yeah.
and then
Sure.
becomes Thor when he hits his cane, and like that's like the closest thing to sort of like Superman's origin for me with Thor, where it's like he has to spend time on Earth in order to get his chill.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? But yeah. And it probably has the strongest villain we've seen in any of the Marvel movies. Loki, to this day, is still like probably the most iconic bad guy
yeah.
that they
Well, he
have.
was so good that
Yeah.
they ended up like, how can we keep him around?
Yeah.
He's the
Totally.
trickster god, so he would get himself out of.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But I mean, they know those characters so well. By the time they get to Ragnarok, which
Yeah.
we
Oh,
both
yeah.
just adore,
Yeah, I
I think
love
that
that.
thing
Loved
is
it. Loved it.
amazing.
Yeah.
They have a great chemistry, and I don't know, the characters feel lived in
Yep.
and real to me compared to a bunch of others because they're allowed to. They have that brotherly banter.
And Loki's gone on a journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, we introduced him as a villain. Then in Dark World, he loses his mom, who was the only one who really loved him of the family. He has to deal with that. Then he has this death scene with Thor, and then we find out he's been lying to Thor by the end of that movie. And then we
back
see him
to the
get confronted
play.
with that in Ragnarok, and so and then they go on this journey. But he's still who he is. And this time, Thor has grown to understand that his brother's just this way, and tricks him when they're going for that ship in Ragnarok, which is brilliant because that's you. Who else knows you better than your brother?
Exactly.
So, you know.
And then again, the just attention to details. Like you said, they just know the characters so well.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen in the comics when Thor just sat his hammer on someone's chest to immobilize them.
Exactly. You can't move it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, that's brilliant. That's so brilliant.
Yeah.
Great. Great stuff.
All right. So that was my 7. Number 6 is Hellboy.
Punt.
Ooh.
That's a punt.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like where your head's at. I think it. Yeah.
All right.
Over time, it might even inch higher.
Wow.
like
Listen to
both
you
of
two.
those.
Listen to you two. All right, fair. All right, so then my turn, right, Matt?
Yep.
All right, my number 10 is Ant-Man.
That was a close cut.
Yeah, I had a really hard time with this one, but in the end I was like, which one do I like? And I have a special place in my heart for Ant-Man because I really enjoyed that all the odds were against this movie. You know, the idea of Edgar Wright being removed, Peyton Reed coming in kind of late in the process. Then you have Paul Rudd, who's not really a guy that can lead a film. You've got Michael Douglas, who's kind of over the hill in attracting people to the theaters. Evangeline Lilly coming off Lord of the Rings or a Hobbit rather, in that character they created for her. Corey Stoll, who's not really who's known to people who love acting and love shows, but not really for the main public. So you have a lot of people in this situation that might not attract enough people to come see the film. And the script is incredible and funny and vibrant. And Michael Pena is not a stereotype. And I'm a Latino saying that he's not a stereotype. It's a very funny take on this character that could be stereotypical, but he makes it livable. He makes it believable, and he makes it like a lived-in character that you understand. Plus his crew, and he's doing it for his daughter. Like they give him that kind of color that is great, and then you have Hank Pym, and then they go into the the subatomic universe. They create all that. They're very funny with Tom X the Tank Engine and the stuff with his dog. Like all the stuff is really inventive. Plus they throw the Cure in there out of nowhere in the helicopter battle with Yellow Jacket, and they make it all work completely well. And the de-aging technology you see in that movie is what you'll see later in Civil War. It's going to become scary how much they're going to perfect that. And so to me, it was fascinating. Like you saw it in the Super Bowl commercial with Steven Tyler. He de-aged in that car. You're like, they should stop doing this now. This is really fucking creepy. And so to me, I just love the joy of the film, and it beat all the odds to be a good, enjoyable Marvel movie. And it's one I go back to a lot.
I love it because it's sort of the first modern example I can think of them taking a genre movie and doing a genre within a genre. Like it's a heist movie in a superhero movie.
Yes.
And I feel like they need to take more chances like that. Like you see the trailer for New Mutants, and it's a horror movie basically that they're about to do. And so this was out of the genesis of that. So it's on my honorable mentions because of that.
Right.
But I love Ant-Man.
Yeah, so do I. I love the subatomic when they go to that.
Oh yeah,
this seems kind of believable.
Yeah.
Also, there's a movie within in this movie that they sort of I wish they'd show us, which is of young Michael Douglas.
Yes,
as the Ant-Man.
That's true.
Well,
oh man,
that's supposed to be the second film. They're going to go back in time.
Really?
Oh yeah, because Michelle Pfeiffer is playing Hank Pym's wife. Pym's wife.
Wasp?
The Wasp, yes, the original Wasp. And then and the story there, if you know the comics, is he used to beat her. So that's a whole, and I wonder if they're going to play that out. Is that the reason she left? Because he feeds her this whole story
Disney
about what
owns
happened.
this, okay?
Yeah, I know.
Well, technically, his mind was being altered by a supervillain, but
So we'll see how close they come to it.
That's all I remember of that character as a kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never enjoyed Ant-Man because I was just like, the guy controls ants.
Yeah.
Like, even as a kid. But then I knew some of that backstory, and it was like, this guy seems like an asshole.
Well, I marked out huge in Civil War when we got Giant Man.
Yeah, Giant Man was great.
Hank Pym as Giant Man was always my thing in comics, and so when we got that was fantastic.
There were so many nerdgasms through Civil War. It was insane. It was insane. It was so great. All right, so then my number 9 is Blade. Blade. Does anybody have Blade on their list?
No.
Oh, damn.
Nope.
Okay, well, this is probably what I put in instead of Hellboy. And because I love Blade, 2 pieces. Once again, it's a film I go back to all the time. I dig what I think Stephen Norrington did with that film, and this is Wesley at peak Wesley. This is when Wesley could carry a film.
Still Nino Brown.
Still Nino Brown. Right? Exactly.
Killing vampires.
Passenger 57. Like you went to see his movies at this stage in his career. And he was like ripped, and it was a black superhero, like so unheard of. It was right on the heels of The Crow. So it was like they were taking these chances. These smaller studios were taking these chances, and Blade just killed it. And that opening scene with the song and the blood dance, the rave, all that shit. Then you have Stephen Dorff, his last gasps as a A-lister, doing great stuff as a villain. Then you have Udo Kier in there doing the stuff that he does. You're too bad, Frost. All that stuff that he's doing.
Donald Logue played
Donald
like
Logue
a
was
biker.
great. Yeah. Also, to me, it's a film I go back to a lot because I just enjoy the construction of it, and what a ballsy Chris Christopherson, what a ballsy origin film to do at this time.
Sure.
And it's dark. It is. His mom turned him into a vampire, is still alive, and then you have that sequence with that the girl who's possibly his love interest. Her ex-boyfriend who becomes this kind of like vampire slave down, eating the bones and the guts. Like you didn't see that in movies. So I in superhero movies rather. So I thought it was awesome. And I'm just got a thing for vampires. What a great new take on vampires Blade was. So it was great to see that come from the comics onto the screen. So
right, because the Blade in the comics was the lamest thing.
Yes.
of all time.
I never read it.
He had this sort of leather onesie and would fight, literally fight Dracula. It was just so awful.
Did you ever take on Blackula?
Now
Does
see,
the comic world just fold in on its own at that point?
Exactly. I feel like they'd be, chums as opposed to.
You never know. Maybe
You never know.
One side doesn't like the way the other one's operating.
That's
You got to
true.
go.
That's true. But, the movie gave him a nice little fade,
Yes.
little lineup in the back, modernized him, brought
Yeah.
in the shades. And I'm like, okay, this is nothing like the comics, but I'm in. I am in.
Yeah. That's a great point. It's funny you
remember
mentioned that.
The fat vampire that is on top of the
yeah.
keyboard.
Oh, yeah.
On top of the computers, and they just hit her with the UV light. Oh, that always freaked me out.
Oh, yeah, that thing.
Yeah. Gee, I
Would
get
scream.
sitting there for so long, just
Right.
grown to the size of a room like a snake.
Oh, right. That's so funny you bring up Blackula because I just saw that for the first time the other night.
First time?
I've never seen it. And I was
I've
flipping
never
on
seen it.
TCM. It was on fucking TCM of all places. And I'm like, I need to see this movie. I've never seen it. It is a smooth vampire movie. Like, it works. It still works. Because my boy's voice is deep. It's like
yeah.
7 registers deep.
It's like Barry White as a vampire.
He's like,
Let me see that neck, baby.
Yeah, that's it.
basically-
That's it.
but he does it
Ain't
so
get enough of your
respectfully.
blood, yeah.
He does it
Is
so
that actually a line?
I wish to God it
Oh, I was
was.
gonna be like, wow, they leaned into the punch. I like it.
He's so respectful. He's like, Madam Noble, might I bite your neck? And then you're
Right.
just like, what the fuck? And it's so, and then he gets all nuts in certain places. So yeah, it would have been nice to see Blackula versus Blade. Like,
There's still time.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like that, whatever it is. All right. So then my number 8 is Deadpool.
Oh, that's called a punt.
Is it? All right. All right.
That's
Fair.
called a punt. That
Then-
hurts.
then
That
my number-
pierces my soul.
I know. And my number 7 is Doctor Strange.
Oh, not bad.
That is a punt.
Punt still.
You don't have?
Ooh.
I don't have.
Okay.
All right, then we're moving up my list really fast. My number 6 is Wonder Woman, which is a punt from
Yeah.
earlier. Is it higher on
Still
your
higher
list?
for you?
It's same level.
Okay.
6.
That's fine.
I got it at
Yeah,
6,
okay.
yeah.
So
Oh,
let's
you got
talk
6?
about it.
All right. Well, we should have talked about it, but it's fine.
No, we'll talk about it now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You guys have it higher.
Yeah.
Start us off.
I mean, the biggest complaint I've had of the DC sort of cinematic universe
Yeah.
is that,
And there are many.
and there are quite a bit, not just the hellish landscape that they always fight in at the end of these movies, but the fact that I never get the sense, why do any of these people want to be heroes?
Interesting, yeah.
There's really no sense of why they're compelled to risk themselves for other people, why they're even heroes necessarily. The like Ben Affleck's Batman, even though I really like him as Batman, seems like he's just a lunatic who likes to break legs.
Right.
You know what I mean? They've given him no real motivation as to why he does what he does.
He's so angry.
Yeah, right. And this film really got right. Like, this should have been Man of Steel. This should have been
Okay.
this person who is not of this world but grows to adopt it as their own and sees the good in people even though there's so much awfulness, and then
Right.
she rises to the occasion. It's just like so well done. The visuals, how much Patty Jenkins fought for those character
Yeah.
moments, because apparently they were going to take out the No Man's Land
Yeah.
scene.
Okay.
And she had to fight for it, and just like that makes the whole movie.
Yeah, that kills the entire movie.
right.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Wow, they would just destroy the movie like that.
You have to have that moment, too. The movie
Wow,
doesn't
now
work
it makes
without
me
that
appreciate it a little bit more. Just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the fact that they had a vision and they were like, no, fuck you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's the closest thing we've had since Donner Superman is 78 Superman, which I know Matt's not a big fan of, but like a majority of other comic book fans are a big fan of that movie and think it's their pillar for loving superhero movies. And I think they captured that magic. And you make a great point, Chris. You're right. Like, these people are just heroes. Why? And that's a when you boil it down to the basic thing, what makes a great origin superhero movie is having the powers and then deciding what to do with, and why did you become a superhero? Because I could, because I wanted to save people, because Uncle Ben died or my parents were killed. Like, there's got to be motivation that you see that makes sense, that you can connect to, and then like feel their journey through the movie. And with Wonder Woman, you do that. Like, she's presented to us as a young girl who wants to imitate what the Amazons are doing. We know there's a secret about her. We don't know what it is. And Chris Pine comes out of nowhere, breaks the Themyscira shield that's there in the air, and like exposes her to the world. And what's so great about Gal Gadot's performance? And I didn't like her in Batman vs Superman. I loved her in Wonder Woman because she didn't play that naivete as stupid. She played the naivete as I just have never experienced it.
Sure,
but
right.
I'm still me.
Certainly.
My morals, my principles, the things that guide me are still inside me very powerfully. I will let you lead me into these moments, but then I'm going to do what I need to do because I need to figure out how to become a hero in this world and how to save the world of men, so to speak. And then you have the whole thing with the villain, which I know a lot of people aren't the biggest fan of, but I don't mind it because I like Thewlis as an actor. But it's her journey, and the journey is what keeps us attracted and interested through the whole movie. And I don't mean attracted in a sexual way. I mean attracted like to the character, as an energy.
Still. She's
But
still attractive.
she's very hot.
No, well, sure. Sure. Yeah,
Even as a married man, I'm thinking my wife would be fine me saying openly in public, Gal Gadot's hot. So,
Yeah,
Right.
or Gal Gadot.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'll learn how to say it if she lets me, kiss her.
Oh, is that also going to take?
Well, sure. No. I'm not trying to be. Anyway, all right. So then that's my list.
Yeah, what do you
for
got?
the bottom 5? What's your number 10, Chris?
All right, this one might be a punt for you guys, but I put M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable at number 10.
Oh, that's not a punt at all.
Yeah. I do like it, but no, it didn't make my list.
Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna do this, ain't you? Okay, here we go.
I love this movie. I mean, the mood of it, it's just like it's very sort of dark and grounded, and it's played up. I guess the theme for me is I love, superhero movies disguised as something else. And so this was that to a T, where it's just like this weird mystery about this guy who never gets sick, never gets injured, and then the whole comic book twist of it all.
Yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson is Mr. Glass, and then the reveal at the end that
Just amazing.
put everything into motion. It's just like spoilers for a 20-year-old movie. But
It's all right.
yeah.
Wonder Woman, maybe, like anything earlier.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
sooner, rather.
But yeah, I just from start to finish, and then even like the scenes where he's with his son and he's picking up all the weight with the washing machines.
How much can you do?
Right.
I don't know. Kind of
Totally.
thing.
Very reminiscent of, for you nerds out there, Alan Moore's run on a book called Miracle Man, where he made real painstaking effort to truly explain the physics behind why this guy was strong and had powers, et cetera, et cetera. And I love just seeing it done in a practical way. And it's just such an interesting approach. I just I love Unbreakable.
It's a moving film too, because
I just wish the first time, because I know we talked about it before, is I wish I had known it was a superhero film.
Yeah.
Because when I piece it all together by the end and whatever, and that was the scope of it, going back, but the first time I walked out kind of like a little bit I hadn't realized yet, and it didn't sink in what exactly that movie was.
Yeah.
And now I appreciate it so much more. I didn't even actually write on my side list because I forgot.
Yeah.
It would have been in the mix maybe for that bottom of my list. I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Glass is one of my favorite villains of all time. And
Certainly.
He doesn't you don't have to see what he does.
No.
Because he's not trying
Right.
to lay claim. He's not doing it grandiosely, trying to live off the fame and infamy of doing something like that. He was genuinely trying to discover
Yeah.
there's got to be one superhuman out there, and the twist of we're mirrors,
Yep.
opposites of one another,
Yeah.
yin to yang, and you're like, wow, this thing is great.
Well, the reveal is great because of what he says. I've committed so many terrible acts to find you. God knows how many people he's killed
Right.
to try to find who
Well, he rattles
his
it off at
counter
one
is.
point.
Yeah, he
He
does.
173 on
Well,
this train accident. And
And when Bruce sees all the clippings of what he's done, the overwhelming nature, it's one of the best acting performances from Bruce Willis ever.
Sure.
Because he's so subtle in the whole journey. He's so overwhelmed by this journey that he doesn't embrace becoming a hero until the almost absolute end of the movie.
Yeah.
And that's what's so interesting. It's the whole thing is him, in real time, what would this be like to understand that you've got these powers now and you can do these things? And then how would you put them in motion? And then he's got a failing marriage that he's dealing with and his kids. So there's so much reality in this. And I think, Chris, you bring up a great point. What makes the best superhero movies are where they just happen to be a superhero. It's all the other human shit they're dealing with that really makes it a lot more fun and interesting to watch.
yeah.
All right, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is Sam Raimi's Darkman.
We just talked about it a couple weeks ago.
This is great.
Go ahead.
I love your list already.
This movie
Julie.
is bananas. And,
Super bananas.
from what I understand, Raimi really, really wanted to direct Batman. and he was not given a shot by Warner Brothers, so he said, fuck it, I'll make my own Batman. And what we got was a disfigured scientist who looks like the Phantom of the Opera. And oh my God, I mean, the Mission Impossible face pullings of the different masks he would wear. There's one crazy scene where he breaks a Carney's fingers.
Yes.
It's just like everything you'd want out of like full Evil Dead mode Sam Raimi making a superhero movie. And that's really why it's on the list. Just how bonkers everything I see is in this movie. I love it.
I love it because it doesn't make any fucking sense.
Nope.
When you take out someone's nervous system so they don't feel pain. Well, they also wouldn't be able to move.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And as a kid, I didn't realize that. I was like, "Oh, that's a great thing." And then once like 10 years later, who knows? My brother brought it up, like Darkman, and be like, "Oh yeah, what was his Superman?" And you're like, "Boom!" And I was like, "That doesn't make a lick of goddamn sense." And I love that they're like, "Screw it, we're going forward with it."
We're dialing in.
Yeah, for me, Raimi, his finest moment is Army of Darkness.
Oh yeah.
That's his I love that movie backwards and forwards. But Darkman's a great call.
And I mean, Liam Neeson, this is his first time as an action star, right?
Yeah. And Frances McDormand, who was building her credibility there in indie films with the Coen brothers. So it's such an unusual combination. Then they have Larry Drake, who at the time was famous for being the mentally handicapped guy on L.A. Law, and you see him playing this terrible villain, which he ended up becoming Dr. Giggles later. He became villains for a number of things. But like in this, it's actually really interesting having two actually good actors in this outlandishly insane movie.
Yeah.
They ground it. They ground it because his love for her is genuine, and her missing him and her love for him is so powerful that when he shows up again, it's devastating for both of them, right? And in a way that's different than Deadpool. Like, she's mad he didn't tell her. This is something else. Like, she was destroyed to lose him because she loved him so much. And then he was so scared to show himself to her because he didn't want her to hate him for how ugly he'd become because of the accident.
Yeah.
And Inside Out, like, because he becomes more violent, more vengeance-seeking. And it's fascinating, man. All right, what's your number?
What do you got next?
This is where Tim Miller's Deadpool comes in for me.
Hey-o.
That's still called a punt.
Still a punt?
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah. What do you got next?
Chuck Russell's The Mask, starring Jim Carrey.
Okay, I've never once thought of that as a superhero film.
Well, it is.
In fairness, right? It started as a comic book.
Yeah.
And he does sort of
a bank robbery he stops.
He stops a bank robbery. He gets even on some shiesty.
Exactly, it's petty revenge.
Yeah.
Shit.
He does the small things, man.
What
He gets
small
revenge.
things? What
Revenge
small things?
for the little guy.
Daredevil does the small things.
We've all wanted to
Daredevil
stick a pipe inside of a mechanic's asshole that did us wrong, and he does just that.
Why you do the what is the old cartoon where the wolves, their eyes pop out and he goes to that? Tex Calhoun.
Tex Avery.
Tex Avery. Yeah.
He does the ooga.
Totally. Come on.
Look, I like the movie. How is it a superhero?
He's a superhero for the common man. He does all the things that we would probably do if we had insane powers.
Stanley
Ipkiss.
Ipkiss. That's it. Ipkiss.
Richard Jenny plays like the other guy that works at the bank.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cameron Diaz's first
When
role.
she was still Latin.
She was
Yeah.
nailed it. Beautiful in that film.
Unbelievable.
And then that guy who he's played bad guys in numerous films. He plays the main bad guy.
Yeah, he was in Usual Suspects.
Yes, he was.
Like one of the side characters.
Red something. Yeah. And so
John Dorian.
very funny,
Good
very
pull.
funny movie. Enjoy it. Jim Carrey at the height again.
Certainly.
I don't have
I
a
just
problem.
gravitate to his others from that era.
I don't have a
like
problem
the
that he has it on his list. My problem is he has it above Deadpool.
movie. No shit, but that's fine.
Well, that's what I mean. It's different. It's like you said. It's barely a superhero.
It really is
movie.
barely, yeah.
And that's why I like it.
I think you need to understand what the word barely is. You might need to reassign and find a new adverb.
I mean, he defeats a bad guy at the
hardly a
end.
superhero.
Hardly is closer. Hardly is much closer.
Well, in a lot of ways, he's like
Possibly.
he's an
It's the best I think
irritating
I might do.
Punisher with powers. You know what I mean? The way the Punisher
dog puts on the mask, doesn't he? At
Right,
some
yes,
point?
he does at the end.
so
I
sure.
couldn't remember if that or was the Jamie Kennedy one. Which I saw
that's the
trailer
sequel
for.
to
Son of
Mask.
Mask. Oof.
Yeah, I
That's
couldn't
terrible.
even give that a few minutes.
No, I tried. It
Turned
was
it on, turned it
terrible.
immediately off.
I never watched it once. I was like, no.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
a guy who's he's
I love that you still want to defend this. I love that.
he's.
Do you want to like ask the judge for an objection?
No.
You need to stall for time to object. Let me just
No. I mean, and maybe he's a hero to himself. Maybe is what the whole point.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
Aren't we all?
No. Because he.
Well, that's good because
he's not confident.
My number one.
He's meek. He's Clark Kent, and
true.
the mask brings out his inner Superman.
Yeah.
Without question.
Sure. He's making good points.
And then the first time we really talked about Loki in a movie because Loki's the one behind the mask.
That's right.
Come on, it counts.
All right. Was your number
What
7?
we got next? Yeah.
And that was my number 7.
Okay.
And then number 6 was Wonder Woman.
Okay, so we talked about it.
Yeah.
All right. Matt, what's your number 5? Look at him. He's still having
Shell shock. Actually, well, my
Smoking.
getting right to the top, and I'm like, you know what? I omitted another one too. And I'm
Oh,
really
no.
pissed at myself.
Oh, no.
My number 5 is Doctor Strange.
Yes, so that was my number 7.
You
And
don't
that's
have it
not
at
on your
all?
list.
I don't have it on the list.
Oh, my God.
For
This is,
very
the-
good reason.
this is a character that I didn't really care for when I
Really?
read comics.
Oh.
I read all Marvel in that era, and Doctor Strange I didn't care for. He just never hooked me. And I read so many other, tons of different storylines. So I knew the character, I knew what he'd do, and I was like, I don't know if this one's going to be successful. And I walked out of it going, I can't wait. I can't wait for the sequel.
Yeah.
I can't wait for let's pop him in everywhere, and like where they brought him in, like in Thor. And where I saw the trailer for Avengers and him discovering Hulk at some point in that movie. But I love everything about it. Just the metaphysical world, the idea that there's parallel universes and you can tap into the energy that's kind of connecting all of us.
Yeah.
And to take it to a realm, that's more a philosophical idea as opposed to just blowing up stuff. We're going to destroy this world. We're going to come after you. And this one is... At the end, the idea that you could even turn this demonic being into, create his own hell just by recycling over and over and over again. Be like, I could do this all day. I could do this all day. And I love the idea of that. It's just like, all right, how long can you take? Where in infinity do you stop? Because you're never going to win this battle. And it's just like, wow, what a great, that's his superpower.
Totally.
Is logic, is intelligence. It's obviously the manipulation of the energy that surrounds us and all that jazz. But at the same time, it takes a superior intellect to be able to do that. And I just love that it's a failed, arrogant surgeon who now has to humble himself. He finds out about the one guy that, what's his name?
Who? Caecilius?
No. Julia Roberts' ex that was on Law and Order.
I love it.
No. It starts with a B, doesn't it?
Oh, Benjamin Bratt. Yes.
Yeah, so the guy that was like paralyzed and like, how did you do it? And he sends him over there and just the initiation, and they got a stiff arm, and they got to Heisman him for a little while. I don't know. I just like the entire build, the structure of it. A great introduction of a character that once again nobody knows outside of people that love comics.
Yeah, you make a great point, man. I absolutely agree with you. That's why it's where it is on my list. It's one that I find myself enjoying more every time I watch it, which is really rare for me with a superhero film because you see these things coming. But this thing with Strange, it just is so interesting how deep they go. Once again, this people complain about DC rather, and the Marvel compares. Marvel just goes deeper into their stuff. Yes, are there some beats that are similar in most of the movies? Sure, but they also inhabit the world. They really flesh it out for you to enjoy it. And you're right, the occult stuff they do, even the stuff with Tilda Swinton. With Tilda Swinton, that's like done there. And I know there was a lot of controversy around it. I still enjoyed her.
Who else you going to get besides Tilda Swinton?
Yeah, to play the ancient. She's
1,000 years old, and you believe it.
To me, I get the complaint. You could have got an Asian character, or Asian actor, but to me, Tilda doesn't belong to a race or a ethnicity or a gender or a country on this planet. She's just such an energy, man.
Who else are you going to get to fill that role?
Yeah.
She was perfect.
Yeah.
So just find the perfect person. Doesn't matter race, creed, whatever the case is. It's just like, listen, who are you going to replace?
Yeah.
Like, who are you putting in her spot? Start pitching me ideas, because right now I can't buy anybody but her and Cumberbatch. You might be able to sell me on others, but...
Yeah, what I dig about this is, like you said, in the comics, everything about Doctor Strange is Deus Ex Machina. Like, we need to teleport to a very far distance. Oh, Doctor Strange is here all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a problem that it can't be stopped by any practical means. Oh, Doctor Strange is here.
Right.
And they did so much more than that with the character in this movie, really carving out a place for him in this greater universe, and just the notion that, okay, the Avengers fight battles on this front, Thor fights battles on this front, Doctor Strange does it on the metaphysical
Right.
front.
Yeah,
You know,
he's
and-
thinking 50 moves ahead.
Exactly.
Where does this ultimately lead to?
Right.
And I like that he's just a sentinel. You know,
Right.
you
Yeah.
guard this city. It's one of X number of cities, but now you're just standing watch.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
The only reason it's not higher for me, well, it's not on the list, is because it's a little too similar to one that is on my list. But we'll talk about that one
shit!
later.
Now I'm so surprised what we're
Yeah,
gonna get to.
I don't even know. I was scanning my brain, I was shaking my head, going, "What movie can I come up with right now as a joke?" And I came up with nothing other than that.
What you brought up.
The Mask.
Sorry about Doctor Strange. About Doctor Strange, that ending. It's not a typical superhero ending with a
No.
big, massive battle. It's the psychological, mental thing that he plays
is, yeah.
with the main villain
That's
over
his
and over
true
again.
power
Yeah.
is figuring out, okay, what can I use around me to actually win this without? Because I can't beat you with my fists.
Right.
I can't do any of that crap.
Certainly.
He's a cocky, arrogant guy who gets, like Thor, he gets like kind of humbled, and
knocked
then
down, bunch
and then
of
you
pegs.
see him on his journey as he learns this stuff, takes the time, and then his kind of like comedic, his natural nature comes in, so that he has little moments that endear you to him, and that's just brilliant the way they turned it around. His biting nature, they turned it into a joking nature in the more good version of himself.
Yeah.
And his stuff with Rachel McAdams really works the more you watch the movie. You actually sense their connection more. And that fight scene when she's trying to bring him back to life, when they're fighting all through the surgery,
unbelievable.
that is
That is
fantastically
unbelievable.
brilliant. So anyway, yeah. All right, so what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Batman Begins.
Oh, yeah. Where do I have that? That's my number 3. Okay.
I have that as number 4.
There we go.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Look at that. That's the closest I think we're going to come to a unanimous winner.
With Chris,
yeah.
that's right.
Just a fantastic movie. Look, Batman's my favorite.
Yeah, he is your
You got to
favorite.
choose any superhero. That's the one I gravitate to first and foremost. And I just the fact that they're bringing the character back for another time, another go of it, and you're like, oh shit, like what am I going to have to endure this time with
Right.
my favorite character? Like, what are you guys going to do? Because now it's kind of like Sony with Spider-Man. We got to keep redoing stuff every 7 years, or we lose the rights to it. And you're like, the shit's coming. What is it? What, Fox owned it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just like, okay, Fox every 7 years. And it was an interesting take on something I've already seen a few different times, where we don't need to see the backstory, technically, of the psychology of like what happened to him as a child and going through all that struggle. You get glimpses of it, but it's more so basically when he made the choice to propel himself beyond, like, into maturity, into adulthood. How am I going to do? What am I going to do with my life going forward? And how can I make a difference and an impact? And I liked the genesis of it and where it started and the build. I believe that this is where Bruce Wayne could have come from.
Yeah.
He gets, trained in the extra martial arts, and he already has basically any resource and a strong mind. So it was a nice jumping off point for what ultimately, like, the fruits of the next movie is undeniable. So hats off, like, it's going into it, it's like, shit, I hope it's good. I hope it's good. And to walk out going, that was awesome. That was so much fun. They brought in Scarecrow, a lesser-known character, Ra's al Ghul, which nobody really knows.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah.
And just between those two, you're like, wow, they didn't take Joker, they didn't take Penguin, they didn't take Riddler, any of the bigger names, and they still crafted a really dynamic and energetic movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't agree with you more. It's such a, when you go back and watch it, it's, a lot of people who love Batman say that this is the better of the trilogy because it's a more authentic superhero movie than The Dark Knight is. The Dark Knight is something else, and it just, once
Yeah,
again,
it's a
like
crime
Chris,
film.
they happen to be superhero movies. It's a crime film, right? But this is an authentic superhero movie. You have his process, and they use a lot of Mazzucchelli's year one stuff as a basis for his coming into understanding how to be a superhero. Like that scene where he's all dressed in black and he jumps on the railing. That's straight out of the comic book, out of the Mazzucchelli series. So you buy the references. Yeah, and Katie Holmes isn't the strongest part of the movie, but she serves the purpose of there to be like, to stop him going too far one way or the other because of his love for her and his respect for her as his oldest friend. She knows his pain of losing his parents. We've kind of never seen that in a Batman movie.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to have that element in there. And of course, Michael Caine is fantastic as Alfred, but Christian Bale doesn't get enough props. And I think people make fun of that voice. And sure, you can do that if you like, but I like what he does with the character. And he's a charming guy with the character. And he never loses that intensity, which has to be there for Batman. And you see see him progress to the point that by the end, when he's having that last conversation with Gordon and Gordon pulls out the Joker card, you're super excited for that scene.
Yeah, great teaser for the next one.
Yeah, I mean, it's aptly titled Batman Begins because it is the first time, I mean, both of you have talked different examples of things you don't see in other Batman medium. You know, at least you may make fun of the voice, but at least it was a choice.
Yes.
No other live action Batman had done that.
Yeah.
Adam West,
And it makes sense.
no one.
Yeah.
Totally.
But you would have some sort of modulation, either what they do with new Batman with Ben Affleck, or that to your voice. You have disguise.
Because they mention in the comics all the time how his
Yeah.
voice unsettles
Just
people.
growly and
Exactly.
deep.
Exactly. You know, and then even in the comics, generally when they would talk about Batman's origin, we've seen his parents die thousands of times.
I know.
A million times.
You don't need
But
to see it again.
you don't really see the training.
Yes.
You don't really see the
Yeah.
acquisition
Him
of
become.
resources. Yeah.
Right.
Like all these things they just kind of skim over. And it's like, well, you know that he knows all this stuff. You know what I mean? It's
he
like,
does
okay.
because he does.
Right.
Yeah.
And then also just, you know, I'm a sucker for character beats, just like the whole thing of, you know, when he's spending time as a thief to understand the criminal psyche. And it's like, you know, I wasn't stealing. And he's like, oh, yeah, tell that to the guy you took this from. And it says Wayne Enterprises on the side, you know, that sort of thing. It's like, yeah, of course, he wouldn't steal because he's freaking Batman.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's just figuring it out. So, yeah, I just thought it was brilliantly done. And it made me feel not just the Batman, I mean, year one, but also the 70s Batman, Son of the Demon. type
Yeah.
stuff, with Batman at the hairy chest.
Right.
And, like, I just love all those stories. And so it really brought me there. The introduction of Ra's al Ghul, the sort of misdirect that it wasn't Ken Watanabe. Again, Liam Neeson back in the conversation. So yeah, just from top to bottom, I just dug it. I just really dug it a lot.
Right on, man.
And then for Black History, Lucius Fox was brought to the mix too. So
Which was great.
I love it.
Maybe they'll get Robbie Robertson right one time. All right, yeah. What's your number 3? That was your number 4, right?
Yeah, that was my number 4.
All right, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Iron Man.
That's a punt.
That's higher than where I have Iron Man.
All right.
That's higher, or you're? Oh, so it's punting either way.
He's higher. That's my number 5 is Iron Man.
Oh, okay. So
We're
okay,
punting
so,
for him. All right, so go for it.
So then my number 5, right, is Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's called a punt.
Ooh.
Ooh, that was my honorable mentions.
Love
Go
it.
ahead.
Yeah.
All right, my number 4 is because I knew Matt wasn't going to put it on his list. 1978 Superman, the Richard Donner one.
Punt.
Whoa!
Listen,
Knost!
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
Before you guys get into your love, I will say my piece, and then I will let you guys have your love.
Yes.
Okay?
Fair.
We
fair.
got no-
It's
all
our
right,
show.
you're
Fair. My number 3 already says Batman Begins. Your number 5, what did you?
Iron Man.
Iron Man. So that's a punt. So what's your
What's
number
your
4?
My 4 is Batman Begins.
Oh, what's your number 3 then?
3 is Hellboy.
Oh, okay. Now you guys talk about it.
A punt from earlier.
Yeah.
Start
Go
us
ahead.
off.
So, again, as I've already said with Darkman, the more bananas, the more bonkers, the more I'm into it.
Yes.
I'm happy that they made an Oscar-nominated version of an Abe Sapien origin story with the
Yeah.
The same guy.
Yeah.
The same guy.
And so I'm very excited that we're taking Mike Mignola's source material that seriously. But this was just so much fun. Was Hellboy? I mean, just a blast from top to bottom, and you know, an unlikely choice to even make a movie about.
Oh, every choice.
Yeah.
Every choice in it.
Certainly.
Who's the main villain? Rasputin. Are you fucking kidding me? I wish the producers were in the room and I would have come up and just kept slapping their hand like low. I just made it 3 J.R. Smith style.
Right,
Like,
right.
I fucking love it. This is a beast from hell and he's fighting Rasputin. You got
Right.
me. And Nazis. Immortal Nazis.
Of course.
Right.
Knife hands and he's got a crank heart. Like, fucking what else you got? Because I am on board. He pulls that dead dude out.
Yeah.
And he's like, has him, I got to find the entrance to whatever the case is. And the guy's cussing him out. You son of a, because it's like, what's the worst going to happen? I'm going to go back to where I want to be, which is dead.
Exactly.
Fuck off, you little red squirrel.
Yeah, dude, and just oh man, and even the more humanizing aspects of Hellboy, where he's trying to get closer to
Yes.
what's her name? Selma
Selma-
Blair.
yeah,
Selma
Selma Blair.
Blair's character. I can't remember the name of the
Right,
character.
and just from top. What can I say? Everything about it, I love it.
It's ridiculous. I love this interdimensional being that Rasputin is now a part of, that he gave himself over to, and that comes reaching through our stratosphere, like through some portal. It's just like coming out, like, oh man, fuck you, fuck you. If this happened to us, like, can you imagine that? We're just chilling because we're an average citizen. We don't know what's going on in the fucking Siberia,
Right?
And all of a sudden, they're just tentacles coming out of the sky in like a mouth, like an octopus or something. Oh, go fuck yourself. What a terrible way to go as an existence.
Well, also Ron Perlman's characterization of Hellboy is fantastic.
Yes.
I
Oh, it
mean,
is,
just like if you read is it Mignola or Mignola? How do you say
Mignola.
it? Mignola. If you read the Mignola comics, you're like, there's no way they can get this right. Like, this guy is so unusual. Same thing, Etrigan's another one. If they ever get Etrigan right, I will be shocked out of my mind. So those kind of otherworldly devil-type characters, when they get them right, you're just so surprised. The large, rock forearm, the shaved horns, all of it was just so brilliantly done. The cigar, you couldn't have cast it better with Perlman. Now, we'll see what Harbour does with it. I don't know if he'll come close to Perlman, in my opinion. I don't think it's possible.
Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
But the film itself is so damn enjoyable because of Perlman's acting. He does that right combination of world weariness of this, dealing with all this otherworldly shit, and also the fun, the fun of it.
yeah.
He never loses the fun of it, even though he's weary from having all these battles and having all these fights with this shit. He's been doing it a long time, and so you're getting the exposure to that. But he's also smirking all the way through it, and then they have that little love story with Liz Sherman, who's what Selma Blair plays, and it's not overdone. It's just sitting there, and he'll get to it when he gets to it. And you have the weird stuff that Doug Jones is doing with Sapien, and of course the Nazis. You can't do it without the Nazis. So it's just great.
It's just the beer.
Oh, Tambor, yeah.
So great. I'll cut your funding and try to bribe with Cubans.
And John Hurt, of
if
course.
You had these people, and they're the only ones that could fight these otherworldly beings.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta.
Oh, it's the best possible version of Men in Black. Like,
Yeah.
just
There you go.
all the fun without any of the cheesiness.
Yeah, it's actually serious.
Right.
Or the rap, yeah.
All right, so that was your 3?
Yeah.
That was my 3.
Okay, my 2 is a punt from both of you, which is Deadpool.
All right.
Number 2.
I had never read the comic.
Yep.
Wow.
I had only seen panels posted every once and again online, and I was like, oh, okay, there's some humor to this, but I don't know anything about it. And I walked out of that, my mind was blown. I could not believe how amazing that film was. The action's really good. The humor is the best of any superhero film that I've seen, where it felt so true to the character over and over and over. Plus, that is the most believable love story I've ever seen in a superhero film.
Absolutely.
Tell it.
Bar none.
Tell it.
All time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like, that was so genuine and real, and like they make choices in the jokes when it's whatever National Women's Month or whatnot, and they do that little vignette where she's about to up his keister.
Yeah.
And just like they don't have to put that in there, but the nice thing is he's giving it out so much. It's good to see him literally take it.
Yeah.
Literally take it and be like, it gives the character so much humility.
Yep.
But even the opening credit sequence, like directed by some asshole, written by written by a really smart, handsome, whatever. I think the writer's the only one that got a compliment. They make fun of over and over. They take so many good shots. Plus, I like that the fact that the villain is a nice opening warm-up villain.
Yeah.
Certainly.
He doesn't take on just some huge...
Ajax.
Yeah.
They had to get the stakes right for Deadpool.
Exactly.
Deadpool is not I'm not going to save the world.
Yeah.
If I'm
Yeah.
Deadpool.
No, I can help.
Yeah, exactly. I might give an assist.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much where he lives, in that sort of local issue. And I think for a lot of us comic fans, it was just like, how are they going to do this? The way you thought about with Hellboy. It was just like, are people going to get the fourth wall breaking? Are people going to understand, like, his insanity and why it's endearing and all these things? And then the healing factor, the whole thing. But they just did it so well. The blind roommate.
Dude, Cyclops.
I mean, they
finally got a good
finally
Cyclops.
got a good Cyclops.
But the healing...
Colossus.
Colossus, right?
Colossus.
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 Because I got some beefs about Cyclops in those extra movies, boy.
When he just nails him right in the crotch,
Yeah.
he just like breaks his hand and whatnot. First off, it's great. It's great for Colossus.
Yeah.
And
Stop.
It's just this gnarled appendage. And he breaks the other one like to get out of the cuffs or whatnot. Or cuts his hand off.
And that's my favorite. That's my favorite joke in any superhero movie when he goes, "It's weird that running into you guys here at the mansion. You'd think that they didn't have enough money for other X-Men." I'm like, yes, this is perfect. That's so pitch perfect.
He's meta through the whole movie. You know, he even makes fun of himself in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which I was like shocked. That version of Deadpool that he made fun of that, and then of course the stuff with Green Lantern. I thought it wasn't going to work. The first trailer, I'm like, no, the 90s music, Gina Carano. I'm like, I don't know, man. And I love Ryan Reynolds. Shit, I will die on a Ryan Reynolds hill. But I was like, I don't know. And then you watch the movie, and Matt, you're absolutely I'm like, what the fuck? They totally got this right. And you're right, that love story. Like, Miranda Baccarin is not someone I necessarily run to as an actress. And she is so sweet and real, and they're depraved. Their love story is very depraved sexually. Like, they explore all the moves.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a subjective thing, right? I say it's depraved because I would never do the stuff that they do. Other people might find it normal, but they don't judge each other. They don't judge each other. It's so pure. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, what else do you think the Dark Architect does?
That's right.
Right after the podcast, we get into it. We're friends.
Anyway, but like, it just goes through, and you never at any point feel like you don't believe it. And I love that, the simplicity of it. And so, because when the cancer diagnosis comes, like, they're legitimately hurt. All of a sudden, you're in a fucking drama that is like moving and painful and deep. And his reaction to her, and then how he sneaks out, and her reaction when she wakes up and he's not there. Like, all of that is so real because you've invested in this montage love story of their connection. You've just believed it, so you earn the dramatic moments.
Because I had questions when they were a lot of the marketing was like Valentine's Day release and hearts and love story, this, that, and the other, and I'm like, what, Deadpool? You know what I mean? But they pull it off perfectly, like you said, and just you feel his suffering when he's in the Weapon X facility.
Yes, no, that's the worst.
Yeah,
totally.
The oxygen deprivation. When I was watching that to me is hell on earth. If there's an inner circle of hell, having to exist in that for all of eternity, we're just constantly struggling. And when the guy just a middle finger right to him, he's like, I'm just going to put you back in here. I don't have to anymore. We got the result we wanted to. I'm just going to torture you a little bit more. Right. Oh my God.
Because he won't shut up. Because he won't stop being a smartass.
Won't stop yapping.
Yep. Which is Deadpool.
Yeah.
So to retain it with all through.
Yeah. You want to talk about can't wait for a sequel.
Yeah.
Like
that teaser was awesome.
Did you like it?
Yeah. When he's trying to change in the phone booth.
Yeah.
And he can't, the guy's dead when he gets out there. So he just takes his ice cream and like lays back on him. It's like, that's the best for the character. Like, once again, it's one of the few times it made me want to go back and rediscover him in comic books.
Yeah.
Go see and start, okay, where did he get introduced? Like, where genuinely.
Sure. Oh, and it's such a progression in the comics. I mean, when Liefeld introduced him in New Mutants, it's like, he is not the character you know him as now.
I'm sure he's a regenerative assassin or something like that.
You don't even really know that he has powers necessarily. He's just kind of this hard-ass, like, hired killer. And then when they gets his own series later on, and that's when they add like how deranged he is and why that is, and the whole connection to the Weapon X and Wolverine, et cetera, and it's just his popularity is sort of unprecedented.
Yeah, and the whole story. I mean, the whole story of it even coming around, this was not going to be made.
No, it took years.
Somebody leaked the footage. Tim Lin or Ryan Reynolds, either one of those two, leaked the footage. People went crazy for it. It got done in a year, in one fucking year with that budget.
Yeah.
And that battle sequence at the end is fantastic.
Oh, yeah. The opening.
With a limited... Yeah, the opening is...
Cars slowly going over and watching him just go through the motions of... It looks amazing.
And that cab driver is hilarious.
Right, cab driver is so great.
And then we get like the ultra violence too that you don't really get in the superhero movies. Like I had Kick-Ass as one of my honorable mentions too, because it's sort of masterful in the way that it can... weave from the ultra violence back to the regular story, and you're not like taken aback by it. And this one, it's so funny and so endearing that you're not too bothered by how brutal Deadpool is towards the lackeys that he chops up on a regular basis.
I still believe there's a better movie on the cutting room floor of Kick-Ass 2. I know there's a better movie.
Yeah.
There's more with Jim Carrey. There's more with that whole crew that they cut out because of the gun violence that happened right before the film came out.
Yeah, possibly.
I'm mad about that.
That movie's a mess.
It could have been great. All right, that was your number 2?
That was my 2.
Okay, so we don't me, right?
Yep.
Captain America: The First Avenger is my number 2.
That was a punt, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not on your list.
It's not on my list.
Okay. So yeah, all I can tell you is that this is a film that I absolutely adore and love, and for another reason, I guess it's really funny. The odds of films being made is really important to me, I guess, sometimes, especially with Captain America. Like, we'd already seen it with Superman. How are they going to do Captain America? In this cynical, bitter world that we have now, how the hell are they going to do this and not make it cheesy, not make it dumb, not make people not like it or think it's like, oh boy, there's a goody two shoes. How are they going to do this? Because there's so much to Steve Rogers that isn't just him being Captain America.
Yeah.
If you read him in the comics, there's so much he goes through. And then when he becomes Nomad, there's so much about him, And so how are they going to do this? And damn, the technology they used to turn Chris Evans into this skinny, young, small punk who has to constantly punch above his weight, and it's the heart that attracts you to Captain America first. And that's what was brilliant about this movie. They didn't start giving him muscles, put the serum in. He was already a ripped dude. They just gave him the serum. No, he was this young kid who had a bigger heart than everyone else.
Yeah.
And so through the movie, that's what attracts you to him. That's what keeps you watching him. And you get through the respect of Tommy Lee Jones and Haley Atwell, who sees him before the convergence. Right. That's what makes them love that guy. So you love him as you watch him in the movie. So that when he becomes Captain America, you're seeing the young kid inside the dude's body. You're seeing that skinnier young kid inside his massive, yoked body when he's Captain America, and he never loses that innocence because what he's doing is doing because of love for his country, which is genuine and not out of a jingoistic approach or xenophobic approach. It's very much a legitimate feeling he has. It's not judging anybody else. He just loves his country, and so that drives him to become Captain America. And the reason why he becomes Captain America, as you were talking about, Chris, earlier, the reasons why these people become superheroes, you see it through the whole film. And the love story with Haley Atwell is genuine and earned.
Yeah.
And when it ends that they can't be together, it is devastating. And you're just like, damn. And then, the tacked on ending is what it is to, bring him into the future. But,
yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you have to. But everything leading up to it is so, and Red Skull, Hugo Weaving, yes, they didn't put him in enough. They might have wasted him. But my belief is that Thanos. Fine.
Yeah.
My belief is Thanos is going to bring him back in Infinity War. I hope they do that. And so, but either way, it still works for me through the whole movie, and I just love watching it over and over again. And I'm a big fan of 1940s war movies anyway.
Sure.
So to see it come this way, and then the Howling Commandos, all those guys there were great with Christopher McDonald leading them. All of it was so much fun, and it's just one that just makes me smile every time I watch it. And makes me emotional at the end every single time I watch it. When he says, "You got to say me that dance," I just go.
Did you also tear up at the callback in Civil War when he's getting beat down by Iron Man and he goes, "I could do this all day."
I could do this all day.
Oh man,
dude, truth.
Yeah, you hit on so many points that I love about this movie. It's a period piece.
Yeah,
which again we hadn't really seen in superhero movies.
Yeah.
As I've been preaching this whole time, true character beats that really get into the inside of these guys when he jumps on that grenade.
Yes.
And it's like, so he's a hero regardless of the power.
Exactly, man.
And that's that is the way you really got to sell these guys. And, it's so, everyone's so quick for characters like Captain America, Superman. It's like, they're boring. They're, whatever. They're just old and cheesy. But to make it cool, to make it make sense, to make it relatable, more importantly, is a triumph.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, the reason it made my list, the sole reason, is because he has been consistently one of my favorites every time he pops up. Doesn't matter if it's just a small part here or he's leading the Avengers or... Because I didn't care for Captain America as a kid when I read comics.
Yeah.
I loved Red Skull. I thought Captain America was boring to me. I was that kid who's just like, I just don't get it. Whereas that pissed me off initially about this movie is Red Skull, they just wasted. It's like, oh my God, Hugo Weaving, perfect voice.
Right.
Yeah. Dear God, he looks like he could be Red Skull. Once you put the makeup on him, like, motherfucker, you in another life, on another planet. But the fact thereafter, like even now, like in the Avengers, when he's trying to give the rah-rah-ish and they razz him for it, but they need that.
Yeah.
They need a leader like that. And you see how pivotal he is or integral to this group dynamic and collective. And I like the fact that, he is now warring with the U.S. government, this guy that used to stand for every ideal we had.
Yeah.
It's like now our government is violating... Shouldn't we be paying attention to that? This guy has been our standard bearer for longer than any of us have been alive, and now he's saying we're in the wrong. Maybe we should listen to him.
Perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps.
There's one comic book panel that I remember because I was kind of like you. I didn't really get Captain America. I was like, what is this red, white, and blue deal? And there's one panel that made me get it. There's a 90s Spider-Man story arc called Maximum Carnage.
Yes.
And where Carnage is running wild with this team of villains, and they're murdering people, and Spider-Man's recruiting as many heroes as he can. A lot of the heavy hitters are gone for whatever reason, and he just gets the shit beat out of him. Like, Carnage and crew they kidnap Venom.
Yes.
They beat up Spider-Man. They beat up Black Cat. They beat up Cloak and Dagger, just all this stuff. And he's laying there, Spider-Man is, beaten, defeated, at the end of his rope, not sure what to do, and then there starts this soliloquy in the word balloons, and then he looks up, and Captain America is standing there with his hand out to him, and said, "Looks like you can use a hand, son." I'm getting choked up talking about it on the podcast, but it was a powerful image for me, and it's like that's it. He inspires the hope of the banner that he wears, which is, that whole American dream ideal. And that's who he is.
Standing up for the little guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's kind of like Dad.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The purity of the American dream. That's what he is. The purity of the American dream.
That's why I always love when they put him with like Aunt May in the comics, because they're from the same era. And so there's like this weird sexual chemistry between them. It's like, that would work. That's right.
Technically.
Yeah.
That was my number 2. What's your number 2, man?
My number 2 is RoboCop.
Oh my God! I love this. Is insane. Look, you know what?
Yeah.
You have picked the perfect guest for this fucking show, man.
I mean, look. Anytime a dude can do fucking lines of rowdy powder off of some girl's, knockers.
Yes.
I'm all for it.
Yes.
Let's commit that to celluloid, because they literally had to put that on celluloid.
I buy that for $1.
Yeah, they fucking wrote that down. They're like, yeah, we're shooting this. Producers like, day one, we're shooting this on a Friday. We're taking the weekend off.
This is Paul Verhoeven, man.
No,
Gave
true.
no fucks at all.
Go ahead, please.
What can I say about RoboCop? I mean, again, a little piece of the ultra violence, like when that death scene of Murphy when he's a regular cop.
Oh man.
I mean, that is something out of a Cronenberg movie. Like I remember just blowing my mind when I was a kid. And then sort of the internal struggle of, there's still humanity in there, in you.
Trapped in there somewhere.
Exactly. And then, again, it's that thing of discovering, well, wait, am I doing this because I'm programmed to do it, or am I doing it because, I am still human and I see the inherent good in people and the need to protect and serve. Mm-hmm. I mean, since he is a police officer after all. Right. It's visually, like, exciting. It's dirty and like really gritty, which I really like. Like I really got a real world feel for all of the mayhem that was taking place, and I don't know. I just like bleak visions of the future,
dystopian.
Yeah. That's why I had such high hopes for the first Judge Dredd, and that made me really sad.
Yeah, but that last Dredd,
Dredd is great.
Yeah.
It sucks that it came out at least here stateside like 3 months after the raid.
Yeah.
Because it's basically the same movie,
right?
But it's still that the slow mo scenes and the drugs and whatnot. When he comes, I loved everything about it. They've talked about maybe making a sequel, or potentially turn it into a TV show.
Carl Urban keeps talking about it.
Yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, me
didn't
too.
Take his helmet off.
Exactly.
Come
the whole
on.
time.
He's never taken it off in the comics.
That's right.
Stallone takes it off within the first 10 minutes of the damn.
You got to see Stallone's face.
Do we?
So I think that's what they were saying.
He has a lot of work.
This is a great thing you bring up, because you know that Tom Cruise was in the final stages to becoming Iron Man.
Yes.
And the reason he turned it down is they would not make his mask see-through.
Really?
So that you could see his face constantly when he was
I
Iron Man.
remember hearing that. It was like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
You can't be Iron Man.
That's a brilliant workaround they did in the Downey one, where you see him inside the suit talking to the computer. It's like,
Jarvis
perfect.
is right there.
Yeah.
He's illuminated from the heads-up display. Yeah.
Madness.
But
This is a great choice. This is a great. I love that you have to defend this choice, because it is a good damn movie, and it's not just a fun, violent action movie. It speaks about the social stuff. On it just talks about the police state, the idea of like how much of your freedom were you willing to surrender to feel comfortable, and then how they can abuse that and manipulate it to make you think that you're comfortable, and then essentially having a purge every once in a while, which is what all those villains are doing. And doing the thing with Kurtwood Smith leading them, great villain, and of course a great death with the nuclear waste. That's what I'll always remember. That guy going, that's
80s.
unsettling as shit.
Very 80s.
Yeah, but like all
Iconic.
of it. Yeah, all of it just talking about what can happen when people in power are corrupt and try to go further and further with the military-industrial complex about what can happen. So there's so much going on in that movie that Verhoeven is talking about
it was
through the
a
coke.
private company, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That sponsored, paid for, and do you want that kind of technology in private companies' hands?
Right. Which is so, oh my God, it's so relevant now with like Elon Musk and this SpaceX stuff. It's just like, that's just a dude. Like, he doesn't work for the government, you know what I mean? Or the military. He's just a dude with a lot of money. You know what I mean? And he's launching shit out into space. And for some reason, we're all comfortable with it.
Like launching an advertisement for his car company. That was a multi-million-dollar ad for Tesla.
Certainly,
That's all that was.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually, they want to get to Mars, but then that just turns it into, they want space tourism.
Right.
They want like the next frontier of
Oh, yeah.
Terrifying.
setting up a company for 200 years from now is basically what that is.
If you watch that video of the tunnel
that he wants to build here in L.A.?
He's building. He's like testing the tunnel out.
Well, they're testing.
He's built it.
No, he's not technically right now. Like the guy that oversees it on the city council is pro doing this, but I think that's as far as it's gone.
Right, but he has built tests. Like he's already testing it. If you go on YouTube, there is a long tunnel. It's 125 miles per hour. I don't give a fuck. Well, I am not getting in something that's going 125 miles per hour through a tunnel.
Yeah.
I don't care how much.
There's earthquakes here. What are we doing? Oh, man, I always think about that all the time. But, I mean, as I pointed out earlier, I'm a Negro, and we're very paranoid people. And I always think about, like, who was the first black dude that got on a commercial flight?
This is important.
Because I want to know who that guy was. Because there's just no way. I'm just, like, thinking, like, would my uncles have done it? My mom? No, they wouldn't have if hundreds of thousands of people hadn't done it before them. So...
Really? That's a cultural thing?
Oh, certainly. I have no desire to go into these tunnels as, you know what I mean?
I think that's just, I know plenty of people that don't like a confined space like that, and the fact that there's so much earth over top of you, and it could just
we don't do nothing first, you know? That's why I was just like, I didn't even buy the iPhone until I got to 6. I'm just like, okay, it works. Let's see what happens.
You got a potluck spot this week?
No.
It seems like you've written this down. You've been holding on to it for a couple of years, like it's been boiling.
It's my life. It's literally my life. I need to well test it.
That's what people don't understand, man.
Exactly.
We don't
do prototypes.
I can't speak to the black culture as a black man, but literally, and I know literally my best friend is black, and so we've been friends since 15 years old. We're still friends now, and he tells me the same. He goes, the window you get into the black culture that you're like, oh, I don't even, because I'm Latino. I wasn't brought here. Like we came willingly. Like we trying to get in. We weren't brought over here. We always trying to get in. So it's different. Obviously, white people are born here, so it's a different approach to the whole country, the whole world.
Absolutely.
And it's fascinating to listen to these things that you don't even think about that you have to deal with, but like it is ingrained in the culture.
Yeah,
like from generations being told this stuff. It's
100%.
fascinating.
I mean, I can't wait till it's like, hey, you guys want to go to space, and then that just deep-seated slave ship memory activates in us, like, oh, you want us to get on a big thing and go elsewhere? Yeah, why don't you go first?
We're gonna put all of you on the shuttle. What you mean, all of us?
Yeah, all of who?
So you won't go to space?
No,
Not first. Not first.
Yeah, not first. Definitely not first.
Glad to do it.
No.
Don't you want to get outside of the earthly bounds to see the celestial heavens?
No, I don't.
There's only been a handful of people that have ever done that.
Again, see, goes into such different cultural philosophy. This is why whenever they show mountain climbers, it's not us.
Of your own volition. Yes, it is. I don't know. Okay.
You know what I mean? All these things, hang gliding. It took us a really long time to get there. Really long time.
I just think there's more of us with expendable wealth.
True.
So we could start trying these things first.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like just the whole concept.
Listen. There are now black serial killers. It took you guys a long time to hit that.
It
did. But the same time, we've been allowed to exist in our own eccentricities for a millennia or two.
Right.
Welcome to white privilege.
Well, white people are a restless people, man. You guys are always trying to expand and colonize and go into places.
Like, basically, if
in
you
the nature.
are one of these people that you just need a modest income to get by, and you live in a first world country,
Yeah.
you're left to your own devices 8 to 12 hours a day.
Sure.
And if you're any kind of Looney Tunes, then that can just spin itself out of control. Whereas, look, I got to work 2 jobs, I got to do this, that, and the other. You don't have the time to be crazy.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
No. Like, I sometimes look up like the inventors of some of these extreme sports, and I just play the game of there's definitely not black. Bungee jump, nope.
No.
X Games, nope.
Yeah, but some of
Nothing.
that you could subdivide, be like, that's European, that's Eastern European to me.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly.
The irony is that when black dudes do start doing these, they usually become the number 1 person doing the sports.
Yeah.
They eventually.
And that even goes back to my number 5 movie, Iron Man. Like, Terrence Howard looks at the thing and says, next time, not right now. I'm not getting the suit right now. We'll wait on this. We need tests. We need various prototypes next time. I just made that connection.
This
beautiful.
is brilliant. This is fucking brilliant. All right, Matt. I think we're up to your number 1 on that.
We're at my number 1. Like, my mind is blown. I'd never really thought of it just taking a plane flight, just like in the context of. Listen, I don't experience the world through a different eyes.
When I sit down in the plane.
Sometimes you see it and you're like, of course that makes sense. And then the other, Jesus, no.
Glad I could
Never in a
enlighten
million
you.
years. Listen, I learn a different perspective in
That's
life.
it. That's why no black dude ever owned a laser disc. It didn't last long enough. It was just like, all right, well, we'll try this out later. There's no later.
Oh, what I really think this does, this
Or
is
a
only
beta-
inside baseball
beta
for the two
machine.
of us.
Yeah.
It proves that Freddie might not be black enough because he's one of my closest friends.
Yeah.
I've never heard this. One of my closest buddies is black, but say maybe he doesn't have the same experience.
Well,
I
he's
don't know.
mixed. So there you
He
go.
is mixed.
Oh,
Half white.
that makes a difference. All right. What's your number 1?
Anyway, that's only for the two of us.
Yeah.
to piece that together. I apologize that for the
Shout out Freddie Lockhart.
so many else listening. My number 1 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, all right. That's right. You
yeah.
punted from earlier. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah.
So that and Deadpool. Look, when I found out they were doing Guardians, I was like, dear God, Marvel just thinks they're playing with house money.
Yeah.
Because somebody was like, well, there's a giant talking tree and a talking raccoon. And I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, right? Like, literally, the largesse of anything we touch, we're Midas, and this thing's going gold.
Yeah.
I texted Gabe, who we had on, my nephew.
Oh,
He
yeah.
loves comic books. And I was like, what's the scoop? Is this going to be bad? He's like, if they pull it off, it'll be amazing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, you could say that about anything.
Sure.
It's like, what does that really mean? If they pull it off, it'll be amazing. No shit. That's every movie. But it gave me hope. And then walking out of that, that sets up a franchise to me. That's Han Solo in a space western and with buddies, a full crew.
Mm-hmm.
And that could spin off. If Marvel dies, to me, Guardians can live alone.
Oh, yeah.
It can go off and do whatever the fuck it wants to, and I will watch that over and over, especially after the last one, which we talked about, where it turned inward. Well, now just open the story-wise. Now the story then just opens. The next one, let's go as wide as we want. We've shown the interior of the characters. Now let's take them out and exploring and interacting. Just like, wow, this thing has so much in the way of legs going forward from this initial movie. And they set up characters I never even remotely have heard of outside of Thanos.
Yeah.
And every one of them resonated with me as an audience member. I love the story, the action, and I brought up earlier with Thor, color palette. This is the first one that exists, within Marvel. Also, there's tons of purples and oranges, and it's just really bright and vivid. It stands alone to me. Like, technically it's Marvel, but to me it's its own separate entity and property. I couldn't believe how much I loved everything about that. I thought the jokes were great. I thought the character, as they're building up with him and Zoe Saldana, like, that was honest. A talking raccoon and a fucking talking tree. And you care about both of them.
And you care about their friendship.
Yes. When Groot goes down at the end, you're like, fucking Groot. And then there's baby Groot, and you're like, motherfucking baby Groot. I am on board. I love the awkwardness of him when they show him later on, like, being a teenager and whatnot.
Yeah.
When he gets unruly,
in the second one?
like, yeah.
In the second one? Yeah.
Just like the growth and development of the character. You made me care about a talking tree.
And then, shout out to WWE superstar Batista as fucking Drax the Destroyer. Like, this movie, okay, I wanted the advertisement. That was such a bougie way to say advertisement.
Sure.
to be for this movie.
You just said as part of the black culture.
yeah.
Say advertisement.
That's why I had to rewind that.
It seems that's the theme of everything for this evening.
Yeah. Conversations in black.
That's beautiful. Like, we're gonna start a top 10 channel.
Totally.
That could be like a counter program.
I'm available.
Conversations in black.
I'm available.
Hosted by the Darkitect.
Please give me a call. You have my
Listen,
number.
we get the network up and running.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you a call.
We got shows.
And it will literally only be for the diversity. Be like, we got a black guy.
I'm in for it.
I'll hire you on February, whatever the date is.
Yep.
It'll be beautiful. 2019. Look
We're
for
in
it.
demand right now. Black Panther in a week. So, like I said, I wish the advertisement for this movie was just Kevin Feige, who's the head of Marvel Studios, with his balls out with "Let's Get Weird" written on it. Because everything about this movie was like, oh, are there still people who doubt us, who don't think?
Exactly, they're flexing.
Yeah, that we can't make this shit work. Here's Howard the Duck for a few seconds. You know what I mean? Deal with that.
Our biggest failure as a technical entity.
Yeah. Like, I mean, just unbelievable. Yeah, I was just, again, as a comic book fan, it's like, they're doing Guardians? That's the weird, that's even weirder to me than Doctor Strange. Like, we're getting
of course.
Yeah.
Because Strange mingles with that world.
At least he's connected to the Avengers.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
He used to pop up.
Totally. And it's like, no, we're getting into like the Jack Kirby, Second World, New Gods, weirdness. Like that. I mean, that stuff feeds my soul.
Yeah.
But most people ain't really that into it. You know what I mean? When we start getting into Celestial Marvel.
But now we are.
Now it's just as commonplace.
Yeah.
Star-Lord is more popular probably than like Thor or something at this point. You know?
Just the popularity of Chris Pratt alone.
Yeah.
But I love like the celestial, whatever, the former beings, and they have that colonization, the city within the brain, and they're just harvesting. They don't even know exactly what this is.
Right.
But they know that it has value. Like, it does things for them, but they can't tell you how or why or whatnot. They just know that it does.
Totally.
Just like, I love the entire lore and the setup of that. And like with Drax, you heard it before, like nothing flies over my head.
Right.
When he dropped that, I was like, he fucking driest non-joke joke I've heard in a movie in forever. Just nothing flies over my head. Be like, and I read some account online where some autistic kid was like, his older brother who isn't was like, that's my little brother. Oh my God, that's my little brother. That was his favorite character. And like walking out of the movie, and you're like, oh, there are those people who literally just take everything literally.
That's amazing.
Yeah, just top to bottom, every choice. I just absolutely adored this movie.
It had no business working.
No.
It had no business working. Like because it was so, and I respect that you guys think it was, I thought they, obviously I look at it, they were like, well, let's try it. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Why not?
I don't know if it's the largesse. I think it was more like, let's see. We've earned ourselves enough credit to give it a shot.
For sure.
And then
It is, but it's the hubris.
Oh, sure. But then, because I remember going to see the clip that they showed in the theaters. I stood in line at Century City for an hour and a half to get in the theater to see the entire prison sequence. They showed it in an IMAX theater at Century City. And you had to get tickets. My friend Shannon came, and I remember I was so excited from the trailers that I was like, I gotta see this.
Yeah.
And then you sat and watched it, and you're like, holy I've never seen anything like this in a superhero movie.
Totally. No.
Space is so vibrant in this movie. Such a character of this movie, the colors of the clouds, the Nimbus cloud, all the stuff, the stars, everything. Yeah, you're right. Like you said, Matt, a very vibrantly colored movie. So you're just all through it. And then you take in Chris Pratt, who's coming off of Parks and Rec. We didn't know this guy could get in shape.
Yeah.
You have Bradley Cooper hidden.
Yes,
this is one of your...
This is one of the biggest stars currently.
And one of the best good-looking stars. You could put him in a raccoon, make him a raccoon.
You limit Vin Diesel to exactly what he should be. Off
3 words.
Saying one line.
3 words, right? And then you have Batista coming. You're like, no way. Because, obviously Zoe Saldana had already established herself, but Batista, what? No.
Crush.
And then their chemistry is so great. You gravitate, like you said, the friendship of Groot and Raccoon, Rocket Raccoon, and then their whole journey with Gamora and with the Star-Lord, their kind of love story that's like back and forth, or like a moonlighting type of vibe to it. Then you throw a Nebula with Karen Gillan, then you throw Thanos, then you throw a Ronan with Lee Pace, what he's doing. All of it fleshes out the world so much, and then you have the John C. Reilly with the British guy.
I know, is
them
the protector.
they're doing the ball busting stuff. They're doing
cuts, the Nova Corps.
The Nova Corps, right?
Come on, deep cuts.
Right, all of it, and then made it
Couldn't
all work.
believe it.
And then the collector slides in, and where you see Howard the Duck
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
Then they tie it into the overall stuff that they're doing with the stone that they have there. So there's so much about this that has no damn business working, and then it totally works. And you walk out of that film going, I can't wait to get back in there and see a sequel. And I know that some people didn't like the sequel. I loved the
Yeah,
sequel.
I loved it.
I bought it. I think it's very, very funny. And you put Stallone in it, for God's sake. That's insane. As an
We
original.
would be remiss if we didn't talk about the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That
of course.
that just is the lifeblood of
Right,
the movie. From the
right.
opening scene where he puts the headphones
Yep.
on and he's searching for the stone or whatnot. I just unbelievable. Just whoever whose job it was to
Yeah.
make that playlist for the Awesome Mix Volume 1 just knocked it out of the park.
Right.
All right era,
Yeah.
you know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yep.
Stuff to
Fit
sort
the
of
vibe.
connect to.
Yep.
Okay, this was the time period in which his mom left him. You know what I mean,
Right.
etc. I just top to bottom one of my favorites. I only left it off the list because I sort of had categories in my head about
Hmm.
like super duper fun, and I feel like Deadpool edged out just a little bit.
That's fair.
So that was the only reason I didn't have it.
You make
on.
your list how you make your list.
yeah.
What do you got?
So my number one is Iron Man. And it's you're not right. So this one just, I think you don't we're not even having this episode,
Of course.
if Iron Man doesn't exist. And
Yeah.
and once again, here's a film. All the odds are against it. It's a superhero film. John Favreau was directing it. The guy who did
Yes.
Elf. Robert Downey Jr. coming off all the drug stuff. He'd done Kiss Kiss Bang Bang before this, but like he wasn't established as an A-list superstar again.
No, not
To
anyway.
head of action
Yeah,
franchise.
yeah, dead action.
yeah.
That's why and sometimes, man, your fuck ups can lead you to the greatest things in the world, because that's why he negotiated for the back end, because he took less salary
yeah,
to
up
negotiate
front.
for the back end, and he ended up cleaning up like crazy.
He's got a chunk of Avengers now.
yeah. Oh
He's
yeah.
the only one that I believe that
Yep.
gets points on that. And like,
And negotiated to get the other guys raises in their contract too. It's like, hey,
I didn't know
you
that
want
part.
Tony Stark, you better
Yep.
break down,
Yeah,
break off Thor.
Yep. And so the film to me is just, it's so enjoyable to see Robert Downey Jr. in his prime finally as an actor. I remember reading interviews where he said, I'm done with the drugs. I've gone through all the shit that I've gone through. Everybody in my generation of actors better watch the fuck out, because I'm back.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, you said in an interview, motherfucker. And then backed it up in the movie. Favreau directed a fantastic action film. I will defend Jeff Bridges' Obadiah Stane to anybody.
day.
I know,
He's
it's good.
so good in it,
good.
man. And Paltrow. But
what we brought up before, it's like with Deadpool, it's a realistic super villain
Yep.
for him to go up against.
Yes. Right.
Basically, it's his technology just amped up in certain areas, but he still has speed, agility, like
Right.
other attributes, like a small fighter going up against a big fighter.
yeah.
So it's so great to like make a successful movie out of a character that nobody really knows.
Right.
It's not a Batman. It's not a Superman. It's not a others within Marvel
Yeah.
that have Captain America.
Sure.
This is the first that they choose, but
Or
it
Wolverine
only
or something.
succeeds with Downey Jr.'s charm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like doing all the stupid that's not going on MySpace, is it?
Right.
Which is such a dated joke now. But at the same time, it's like within the character, and it's like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you go to like he's there to show off his newest weapons, but he's a billionaire playboy, and that's what he's playing off, and he hasn't realized the gravity of
Yeah.
what he does.
Totally.
Yeah,
and
just
the-
the fact that you get to live this lifestyle is based upon the blood and death of others.
Yeah.
And once he comes to that realization, like he sits down and he has, I love that he's eating, what is it, a Burger King burger?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that-
yeah.
When he got to his lowest moment in life, he went to Burger King, got
Yeah.
a Whopper,
Yeah.
and it was so terrible and bad. That was his low point of like he'd just gone through life's shittiest moments after moment after moment, and finally just got this bad burger and was sitting there eating. And it was like, what the fuck? What's going on?
Right.
And to have that moment of reflection in something that would be a pivotal and huge and set him up there after
Yeah.
he just sits down at the podium and he's got a burger.
Yeah. He sits down.
Yeah, he sits down and just like, it's like the teacher that
everyone
turns
sits
around the
down.
chair.
Yeah.
And says, guys, let's rap. And you're like,
Right.
I've only seen this in the 80s sitcom. But it's just, without his charm, I
Yeah.
don't think we have this list.
Well, and without right, exactly. And Paltrow is so essential to the movie. People don't give Pepper Potts enough credit because without her, he's not human to us. She humanizes him
sure.
in so many ways because he is forced to deal with her calling him out for all this bullshit. The reason he changes everything around is because she's like, we can make money other ways. We can do other things. She's the smart one that knows how to work. She runs the fucking company, the billion-dollar company, while he's off doing the stupid shit that he's doing. It's essentially Bruce Wayne, but having someone there who's taking care of everything, and she does
she's
that.
Lucius Fox.
She is, in essence, and then she also is sweet to him and is nice to him. Like that whole scene where she's taking that thing out of his,
and he freaks out a little bit.
Yeah, all of that is so believable. And that moment where they're going to dance at the party, like all of that, there's a sweetness to the whole movie. And then his second dad is the villain. He has enough dad issues, and you throw in that his fucking second father is the villain in the movie. It's like, it's so brilliant.
Yeah, I had never seen. I mean, look, old white men have been very menacing to me my entire life.
I think you're making all this up, man. I think you're making all this up.
I'm serious, man. And once I saw that bald
They're good
man,
people.
I was
They're
just
good
like,
people.
I'm like, oh God, I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. But yeah, it just works on so many levels, and this is why I didn't put Doctor Strange on my list, because to me, I felt like most of what I lived through Strange's journey was what I lived through for Iron Man's.
Okay.
Tony Stark, I mean, they both have this horrific accident that sort of sets them on their journey. And Tony Stark, initially, much like Strange, their pursuit is completely sort of selfish and self-serving.
Yeah.
He's not being Iron Man because he wants to do the greater good. Oh, no, they're using my weapons for this bullshit? No. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it doesn't become altruistic really until later on. And, that whole, metaphor with the award that Pepper gives him, like, proof that Tony Stark has a heart, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, just to see that character arc come full circle from just completely self-absorbed to know I have a responsibility. I mean, that's been the theme of what we've been talking about with these superhero movies. Like you said, come on, so charming, just amazing. I like to think sometimes that... You know how you do like alternate viewings of movies sometimes? Like you watch Ferris Bueller with the notion that Ferris is just a figment of Cameron's imagination.
Yeah, right.
I do the same where I think, Less Than Zero is a prequel to this movie. Where it's like Tony Stark had some weird times when he was a teenager.
There's one specific scene. Less Than Zero. That puts a different spin on Stark's legacy.
Absolutely.
If you do it that way, it's Shakespearean because he's Henry V.
Yeah.
He's Henry V.
There you go.
Doing all the shitty stuff he does as a kid because he doesn't want to be the king.
Exactly.
And then something happens that makes him, his father dies, it makes him want to be the king.
You understand me.
Damn. All right, my mind is blown, son.
Hey.
I love it.
Went to the bottom of the ocean on that one.
That's why on this show we don't call you the Architect. We call you the Marianas Trench.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I like it. But yeah, I mean, dude, without, like you said, without this, we don't. Yeah. This was their big gamble. This was their dice roll. Is this going to happen? And they seeded everything so perfectly. Yeah. What was an unbelievable shock of that after credit scene has become a staple in every Marvel movie to the point where they're like parroting it now with like the Captain America at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming, where it's like, it's a PSA and it's not even a scene from an upcoming thing. Yeah.
Some of those just like, I'm tired. What do we got to tease? Like, they know what's coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't need it.
But just the notion that, oh my God, this could be an Avengers coming, and then we get Agent Coulson for the first time, and how he becomes the lifeblood kind of throughout those movies that humanizes all the heroes. Yeah. And then when he dies, he's the catalyst for the Avengers to finally assemble.
Yeah.
It's just it's a masterpiece and everyone gives Joss Whedon, most of the credit for sort of crafting this universe. But if Favreau didn't strike the first blow, we never would have got there.
It's not even. Mike Tyson uppercutted.
Yeah.
Like the movie going public. I mean, we were all lights out. It's just like, all right, what do you got next? Because this was flat out amazing.
Yep. Yeah. There are movies you remember where you were when they ended, and this is one of those. Like this, I remember just sitting in the theater looking on all of us were like this.
Right.
Just looking at each other because they got it so right.
Oh, I mean, even the Mark 1 suit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, it's like straight out of the book.
Yes, it is.
And it's like, and then just the sound effect as he's shooting off. Yeah. I'm like, come on, where this is.
And whenever he goes to fire.
This is everything I wanted.
Right.
Everything I wanted.
And an emotional core, which is so essential.
Yes.
Like that creator dies, his dad dying, the creator dying, all this stuff leads him down this path to what he has to do, and a great relationship with Terrence Howard. Such a great relationship with Terrence Howard. And nobody makes a big deal. No, it's not a big deal. They're just friends. And it's great.
Mm-hmm. And then, just for my sensibility, the Ghostface Killer song being played in the limo while they're talking. Because if you're a hip hop fan, you know that his nickname's Iron Man. Just come on, attention to details, baby.
Boom.
Attention to details.
Still, though, his name is Ghostface Killer.
I mean, true enough.
As a white man, I know what that means. But I will say this. That is my favorite rap name of all time.
Yeah,
the first time I heard that, Ghostface Killer, and I was like, this is the shit right there.
Ain't gonna touch that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do it, fucking do it.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
You gotta
Lean
do it.
in.
Exactly. Lean into that punch.
That's right.
Yeah,
I
I'll
wish-
never forget his first album is called Iron Man. The CD has an Iron Man superhero chest plate,
Oh, shit.
and the Wu-Tang symbol is the arc reactor.
Oh,
I'm like,
nice.
that's sweet. That's fucking sweet.
All right, what's your number one, man?
My number one is Richard Donner's Superman.
There it is. K-boom.
All right, I will say my page.
Fine. Go ahead. Yes.
Please do.
All I'm going to say is the only redeeming qualities I found about Superman was through you, Chris.
Okay.
Oh, look
When
at
you
that.
were like,
Giving him credit.
listen. Literally, we were playing basketball one day, and you're like, listen,
I remember this.
I know you think Superman sucks. And I'm like, no, there's no think. I know Superman sucks. I've read enough of his comics, and you're like, go back, read Red Sun, read a few
yeah, Red
others. And I
Sun's
went back and I was like, okay, if you give the character complexity or flaws, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like that DVD, because I like DC's animated stuff.
Yes.
The DVD they did where he realizes he has immortality, that the sun's energy is so intense.
All-Star Superman.
Yeah. That he realizes, I've got an expiration date. Okay, now I can understand the motivations of this character. So that's it. That's it. What little love I have of Superman is from you.
Yes.
So thank you for that little modicum of I did find some redeeming qualities.
You're welcome.
I'm going to go use the restroom while you guys have a love
Okay.
fest. 'Cause I gotta pee.
And you like Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Matt is a fan.
Really?
He does.
I do.
And so do I. We're fans of Man of Steel.
The head snap makes sense to me as a choice
Yep.
because it's either the collateral damage of potentially 500 people dying or one.
Well, he could have just put his hand in front of his face. He's got the same powers. It would have just bounced off his hand.
Yeah, they could have flown into space and had that battle.
Yeah,
they could have made a lot of choices.
Certainly.
All right, I'm gonna go
So, okay. I never could fully articulate Superman to people.
Oh, interesting.
And until really, much like like I said, this story about Maximum Carnage and seeing Captain America. Again, it was animated.
Yes.
It was the Bruce Timm Batman the Animated Series universe when they did Justice League Unlimited. And there's a moment in the final episode. Darkseid, who's a massive villain in the DCU,
Right.
has pretty much won. He's taken over Earth, and he's made the rest of the Justice League kind of his slaves. Superman's the last one standing, and he makes a stand. And before he engages Darkseid, he does this speech saying, every day of my life, I live in a world of cardboard. Every single thing I do, I have to be so careful because if I do anything too hard, I could kill so many people.
Yeah.
You don't know what it's like to be me, but you look like you might be able to take it if I let loose. So let's just see how powerful I really am.
Wow.
And then punches Darkseid in the hardest, most ridiculous way you've ever seen. And that really gave me insight oh no, this is a complex character. I can't imagine what that's like to live in a situation where anything you do could potentially cause a natural disaster.
Yeah.
And they just have to live with that every single day. Like, how do you function on a day-to-day? How do you have this romance with Lois Lane, who it's like, if you get, tickled by an insect, you might slap and knock her head clean off. You know what I mean? Right. Like, these are concerns with Superman.
Hey, do you really think Superman's ticklish?
I mean, look.
Bullets bounce off his skin.
Yeah, well, look. The buzzing could be
elephant
annoying.
ticklish?
And also, that's the other thing. Superman has to make a choice every second of every day because he can hear everyone's cries for help.
Right.
He has to let certain people die. And how do you make that choice every single day?
Yeah, he's God.
Well, but he's not God. He can't.
He's God.
He can't be everywhere at once.
Right.
And that is essentially the weakness of Superman because he can't be
But by
everywhere at
choosing
once.
not to help certain people, he is then basically condemning them to death on some level.
But but he's not making the choice. He's fighting against nature.
Right.
And
he's
what
making
happens,
a choice.
Sure, it's a shitty choice.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's not a choice of his own creation. Let's put it that way.
All right, fair enough.
And so the burden to be Superman is just one that I totally understand it. It makes me have this empathy for the character that I don't think most people have. I get it. Oh, he's so powerful. He doesn't have weaknesses and blah, blah. But it's like, what are all these other heavy choices that he has to make? And now I'm not saying that that's embodied all the way in the Richard Donner Superman movie.
Nope.
But the reason that I love it so much is because it felt so pure. Mm-hmm. It embodies everything that I loved about superheroes when I was a kid, and why I think that they have taken over as the modern day mythology, and why we look at them as sort of at least a lot of people do, as sort of inspirations instead of even real life figures. And that movie gave me all of that. Yeah. Just from the score, the John Williams score.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, I can't.
It's amazing.
I'll never stand on a large precipice and have that song play because I will think I can fly and I will jump. That was even the log line.
Yeah.
You will believe a man can fly.
You will believe a man can fly.
And God damn it, if that movie did make me believe. I mean, there was some sketchy additions to Superman's power. I'm going to just fly backwards around the earth and that's going to reverse time. I don't know if that's how things work. But
what do you mean you don't know? That's how things work.
True enough.
That's not even remotely how things work.
Listen, if you're gonna buy the guys from another planet, you start putting limits on him. Then what are we talking? You're choosing to believe what you want to believe.
Because he's supposed to exist in our world, living under our rules, and he can just violate all of physics whenever he so chooses.
Right.
And the other thing is, it seems like his alter ego in those movies, especially, or written by a black, every black comic from the 90s impression of what a white guy is what Superman is doing his impression. Excuse me.
Guys,
hey, what's going on? Yeah, it's like this henpecked pussy. Just I hate everything about this character.
Okay.
Oh.
But that's why the
Tarantino.
Yeah, Carradine's monologue in Kill Bill is fantastic.
Exactly.
In that
explains
way.
that.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't 100% agree with it, but I think it's a great take on the character. But this film, I agree with Chris, the purity of the film is why people love it so much. Because if you're going to do a and this is essentially the first superhero film ever made, you wanted to capture the magic of when you were a kid and you discovered superheroes for the first time. And at that time, whether it was in the comic book store or in the newspaper with little strip comics that they would have of Superman, however you discovered superheroes, it was the purity of Superman that was the one that almost always brought you in. And so to see it come to life in the way that he did it, and he gave him stakes. Having his father die in front of him is really powerful.
True.
Having Glenn Ford have that heart attack, and Glenn Ford's, that's great actor right there, just because he just goes, oh my. Listen, if you can use oh my correctly, you are a fucking great actor. And so to see him do that and him rubbing his arm, he's like, oh shit. And Superman can't do anything. The one person he cannot save is the one person he would have most liked to have saved in the world. And, he has that conversation with his father about being like, why can't I use all my powers? Why can't I show off all the things I can do? And he's like, because it's unfair to everyone else. So you're going to have to understand from the beginning that you can't, that the whole world is cardboard and you can't do these things. And you have to learn it now. Mm-hmm. You can't learn it when you're 20, 25, because it's got to be ingrained in you from the beginning. And that opening scene with the train and the joy of him running against the train and jumping past it, all of it is there, but you still have the darkness of Superman. You still have him losing his father. You still have him, the stuff with Lana, getting made fun of by everybody. He has to take it. He has to be the bigger man from way too young of an age from the beginning. And so it's tougher to live in the world. So when he has that moment when he's, when the sun's coming up, which is very much the Luke Skywalker moment. And remember, this film comes right on the heels of Vietnam. So we kind of want to believe in our heroes again and believe in things again in the culture. And then you see him go into the city, and yes, and he picks Lois Lane, and Lois Lane is not played as some kind of like doughy-eyed. She is like hardcore reporter, throws herself into dangerous situations. She busts Clark's balls all the time, but she also admires his sweetness because she doesn't remember. She forgets when she could feel that way. She's so cynical as a reporter, and then she also gives herself to Superman in a way that isn't gaga. She like falls for him, but she doesn't fall for him and go like, yeah, whatever you want to do. It's more like, I have to ask you these questions, and then you're taking me on this, like, you've got me, who's got you. So the romance is so believable, and then you throw in the comical nature of Luther and Ned Beatty and Valerie Perrine with Miss Tessbacher, which is great.
Yes.
Otisville! All of that is brilliant to juxtapose what's happening and in the real, and it makes it feel like very much out of a comic book. And then at the end, out of nowhere, they throw the fucking stakes in of having Lois die.
Yeah.
What the? You killed Lois Lane, and then you have him violated, which is what happens. It's the final stage of you becoming a man is when you rebel against your father. It's the natural stage of things. So when you see him spinning the earth around, it is his rebellion to his dad, and his dad is telling him, Brando comes in and says, stop doing this. It's not the right, does all this shit. And he's like, fuck you. I want my woman to live. And brings her back, and they have that sweet moment. And you're right; it defies all the laws of physics. The other planets were thrown out of orbit, absolutely, by what just happened to the galaxy.
We were literally thrown off.
Yeah, we were under our axis. Right?
Centrifugal force no longer holds us, and now we lose all of that.
Right?
Because I don't know, perhaps gravity is strong enough just to hold us here, but I'm sure the centrifugal force is also helping. When you reverse that,
right?
Yeah, on top of it would destroy our core.
Yeah.
If now a new direction, so the polarity of everything, the magnetosphere would stop, so the sun's radiation would kill us all instantly.
Right.
Instantly.
It'd make him stronger.
It would. Good for him.
Maybe that's what he was going for.
Maybe. So yeah, I agree with you 1,000%, Chris.
Yeah, and also, look, is it a bit dated? Sure. But I always defend Adam West Batman the same way.
It's totally different. That is totally different.
No, if you read the comics of the time, they're very much like that. Even the Batman comics, he's smiling.
It's fine.
And all this stuff. And then just like the Superman movie, I think the books around the time were pretty similar.
Batman's is also, A, it's going for a kitschy kind of charm.
Yeah.
And B, they only had so much of a budget to pull off a weekly TV show.
Sure.
So that's the reason they literally ran into the Egg Gang, and the Egg Gang is throwing eggs at them.
Oh, yeah.
We got a short budget this week, guys. This is Vincent Price.
That was the time period in the comics where the Joker was like an irritating menace. Like, he wasn't like a murderous lunatic.
Mastermind that he...
Yeah. But, so... I totally excuse it for its sort of kitschiness and cheesiness.
I think you would excuse it for whatever you want. You can say it however you. It doesn't hold water, my friend.
And then I just love the choice of. I wish they would do this with a Batman movie, but starting with him as a baby.
Yeah.
And rather than seeing the origin in flashback, you see it sort of in real time. And I always wanted to. Them make a Batman movie that was more like a biopic, where it's Batman through different ages of his life, and then you could get like Batman Year One, Batman really in the mix of things, Batman older, Dark Knight Returns era Batman. You just see the progression of his life, and so it kind of gave me that feel a little bit at the beginning of this movie. Because you see him as a young kid, you see him as a baby, and you see him as an adult, which you don't see much of in superhero movies. Yeah, man, it just it like you said, it kicks off the whole thing. It kicks off the whole thing. It's got to be number one.
There it is. All right, now let's put this list together because the show has been going on. We're running a little long. We're almost at 2 hours, so we got to cut this thing.
Black tangent. I'm sorry.
Please,
I think it's brilliant.
No apology necessary.
So,
but it's coming together on this, which is going to be tough.
I have Iron Man at number 1. Where do you have Iron Man? Well, who is it?
I think that's probably our highest commonality.
Yeah?
So that should probably be number 1. Because I've got it at 3. What do you have it?
I had it at 5.
Okay.
Do we have anything else? Batman Begins? Where do we have that?
I have
3, 4, 4?
I have it at 3, yeah. Do you want to put that at second?
And it's what, 1? I don't care. Between those two?
Yeah.
If you want Iron Man, because basically we wouldn't be here having this discussion without it.
I feel like that's the right choice. Okay.
So Iron Man. Am I banging this time?
Oh, yeah. You're I'm banging. I'm banging, yeah. Go ahead. So you write it down.
Iron Man, then Batman Begins.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right.
You got Soups at 1. You got that where?
I have it at 4, behind Batman Begins.
I got Guardians at 1. Are you?
My
you
Guardians is
don't
at
have
5. My Guardians is at
5?
5. Yeah.
What about Deadpool? Do we all 3 have that?
I have it at 8.
I got it at 2 though. You guys both have it low.
Yeah, I have it at 8 as well.
But we don't have any 3-person
No,
movies beyond that after that, do we?
You don't have Wonder Woman?
I have Wonder Woman.
Oh, one. I got that at 10.
I got
okay.
it. I got it
that
at
at
6.
6,
Yeah. So if we have Iron Man, then what? Batman Begins,
Batman Begins.
and then
Then
what?
I would say Deadpool after that, potentially Wonder Woman at 4, since we all
Yeah.
3 have it.
Okay.
Where's The Mask? Oh, yeah.
Stricken from this.
Okay, never
the
mind.
final list.
Never
just
mind.
so you know.
All right.
I will not be writing that down in ink.
Wait, so you don't have Superman on your list?
Nope.
So then we'd have to go to the next stage is who has 2
You got
of
2 highest.
Yeah. So Superman is number 4 for my list. Is number 1 on
One for me.
his.
Yeah, and you got Guardians where again? I'm sorry.
I have Guardians at 5.
All right, then Superman would be next,
Yeah.
because then Guardians would come after that.
Okay. I love how we're ignoring RoboCop and
The thing is, we have to go with commonality.
Yeah. Gotta have the vision, man.
I don't want to ignore the black man in the
RoboCop will
room
make
for
it
God's
because
sake.
it's your number 2.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
That it will, because we still have a few spots, and we're not trying
Yeah.
to be dicks, but at the same time, ain't no fucking way Mask is making it. Just to let
It's
you
okay.
know.
It's okay.
Do we have
Where are we at right now? What number are we at right now?
we got 7, 8, 9, and 10 left.
Oh, okay.
What do we have in common? Doctor Strange, Hellboy.
Doctor Strange. You guys have
Captain
Hellboy in
America.
common.
I have Hellboy
I
at
think you
3.
guys have Hellboy higher, so Hellboy should go next. I
All right.
imagine.
Yeah, because I got it at 6.
Yeah. Because I have Doctor Strange at 7.
What do you got next after? We got RoboCop and what? Chris.
I got RoboCop, Hellboy, The Mask, Darkman, Unbreakable.
I would allow Darkman. I will allow Dark. I can't.
yeah, but the problem is we got to get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We still have Captain America and Doctor Strange.
Oh yeah.
in common.
Wait. The first Avenger.
Yeah.
What number is that for you?
8.
It's number 2 for me.
Oh, okay. Goes
So,
next. This probably
should
go
that be
where
higher?
Hellboy is.
Yeah.
All right. Cap, and then Hellboy.
Yeah, that works.
RoboCop next.
Is that 9?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hit me. I'll buy that
We're
for
gonna-
$1.
We're gonna get so much shit for that.
And then let's
Come
see,
at me.
is Doctor Strange the only double that we've got left?
Yeah, I have it.
You have? Do you guys have any commonality? Do we have any commonality?
He doesn't have Ant-Man or Blade.
No.
Yeah. Deadpool was my next thing after those 2.
Yeah,
All right, so then it would be Doctor Strange
Yeah.
to close.
At number 10. Wow.
There it is.
It's a controversial list. I love it.
Well, the thing is, yeah, there's still other omissions, and
Yeah.
we'll get to it in a second.
Yeah. Let's do it. All right, ready?
I bang it up, my
That's
friend. Give me
right.
that sweet, sweet falsetto.
The top 10 superhero origin movies. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
At number 10.
Doctor Strange.
At number 9.
RoboCop.
At number 8.
Hellboy.
At number 7.
Captain America, the First Avenger.
At number 6.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
At number 5.
Superman.
Numero 4.
Is Wonder Woman.
At number 3.
Deadpool.
And in the deuce slot.
Batman Begins.
And the number 1 superhero origin movie is
Iron Man. Anybody got any quick honorable mentions?
Oh yeah. Do you have any?
Yeah,
Chris?
I had.
Go ahead.
You guys talked about a couple of mine. Guardians. I said Kick-Ass, and then
yeah,
my other
Kick-Ass.
one was Chronicle by Josh Trank.
Oh, Chronicle's a great choice.
Yeah.
I have Watchmen.
I wrote it down and never made consideration,
There.
really.
I had Hellboy. And then I had 1989's Batman, because that is a fucking origin movie, but to me
Yeah.
it does not hold up.
Yeah, I wrote it down too. And then
So.
The Incredibles
Oh, The Incredibles.
is the one mid-show. I was like, fuck, I didn't think about that one. That
That's
would
a
make my
great
list.
choice.
Best Fantastic Four movie ever made.
Yes.
The Incredibles.
It's one of my favorite superhero films.
Damn,
Love
that's
it.
a great
It's
point.
fantastic. I know. It's like, what were we on, number 8 or something? I
Yeah.
was like, oh, fuck. Don't have that down.
All right, well, that's our list of the top 10 origin superhero movies. I want to thank Chris for coming in, taking the time, enjoying a little nerd fun with us.
Oh, I had a blast, man.
Thank you.
I just love being in situations where I can talk about this and it's not weird.
Nope. Welcome to the show.
Exactly.
So many times at Boom Studios this would happen. I remember I was just a quick anecdote. I remember I was editing a book. I had a question for my assistant editor, Jason. He was staring off into space. I kept asking him the same question. He wouldn't look at me, staring off into space. After a while, I'm irritated. I'm like, Jason, hey. And he turns and he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking about Superman. Now, in any other context, that's weird.
Right.
But because we were working at a comic book company, it was completely normal, and he got a pass. And so I appreciate you bringing me back to that moment and for a couple hours.
That's great.
Not a problem. That is the reason I invited you. So we're clear.
Yeah.
That is a verbal contract between us.
Right on.
Signed, sealed, and delivered.
Power to the people.
Tell people where they can find you, Chris.
You can find me on all the social media things at Chris_please. I produce a lot of comedy shows.
Wait.
Chris,
at
please.
Chris_please.
Please. PLEASE.
PLEASE. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Like bitch, please. But
I
Chris,
like
please.
it. Chris, please.
Yeah, a lot of comedy shows coming up. You can see what I got coming up. If you want to check out the Store Horsemen, it's at Store Horsemen on all the things. The podcast is climbing up there. It's very exciting stuff. And if you want to hear more of my charm, my humor, you'll find it there. Darkitect.
I love it. I want in as a guest on that the show at some point in the future to talk wrestling.
Yes.
I fucking love to talk wrestling.
Yeah. If you guys want to talk from 1984 to...
We're doing that. We're taking lapsed fans and we're watching their favorite event and covering them as bonus episodes.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andre the Giant. I love King Kong Bundy.
Oh yeah.
Piper. All that. That early era when there was the Saturday morning cartoon.
Oh yeah.
And all of
Hogan's
that.
Rock and
I was
Wrestling.
so hooked. I was a Hulkamaniac.
Hulk Hogan at this
100%.
point.
Hillbilly Jim. Yes, well, fair. That's fair.
Hogan broke my heart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The same way he ripped his shirt, he ripped my heart.
I know it was you, Homester. I know it was you. Well, he did go heel. All right, you guys can find me. Oh yeah, Matt, where can they find you? Where can they find you?
If you want to join our Patreon, it's patreon.com/top 10 show.
Yes.
It's the top 10 with the number 10.
Right. No show.
Facebook.com/groups/the top 10 show with the number 10. And me on Twitter at Matt Knost, MATTKNOST.
Yeah, and do if you can donate to Patreon, great. We appreciate that. If you want to go on a Thunderdome, you want to be selected as a possible person to select one of the films or select the topic of the week. That's how you do it. Becoming a patron.
We actually had some meetings today about potential ideas where this show can be in 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
And then after that, I thought of some interesting tie-ins for Patreon for that stuff.
Great.
That people want to, whatever. That's all. We're thinking behind the scenes. We're going to build that network.
Absolutely.
We're going to have what was it? This Conversation in Black.
Oh, Conversations in Black. Yeah.
Yeah, Conversation in Black.
Conversation in Black.
Eventually be on the network.
Sunday at 6 a.m.
February 2019. Check back in with me. Tweet me next year. This time, where is Conversations in Black? I'm working on it.
They'll put it Sundays at 6 a.m. like they always put those damn. They disrespect those shows all the time, man.
It'll happen in CP time.
There we go. That's right.
Listen, you'll be the Tavis Smiley of our network.
I'll take that.
That's good. You guys can always find me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and Instagram. That is my homage to The Rock. ROCHA. And everything Matt said. Just donate to us, get on the Facebook group, and follow us.
And graphic designers, a couple of you guys have reached out and given us some really cool designs. If anybody else wants to reach out, we're going to basically be making T-shirts coming up.
Yep.
So we're going to be picking final designs. So please send away. It's top10podcast@gmail.com, and that's all spelled out, top10podcast. So just send your design ideas. If you want to send, one guy sent like 8.
Yeah, really?
There's 2 or 3 that I think are pretty damn good.
I need to take a look at these.
Yeah.
Brian Ward, if you're listening, send us something. I'm tired of you designing shit for all the other teams in the Schmodown except us. So design something, a bunch of stuff for the top 10 show. I guarantee you we'll pick one of those designs at least, if not all. All right, thanks everyone for listening to us this week, and we will talk to you next time on the Top 10 Show.
Toodles.